place is weird. I either walk in here and it feels like it's 30 degrees, or I walk in here and it feels like it's 90.
It never feels the way that it's supposed to. By the way, it's like we have this injury report tonight. It's gonna be.
Oh yeah.
Turn some heads.
I was sitting. Oh, you already seen it, or?
I know who's on it.
Oh.
We've got basically everybody on offense besides Chris Bell's hurt.
Oh, that's fun. I was gonna say my miracle was that Jeff Brom, doesn't want to fess up that Miller's not gonna play, so he's like, you know what, he's hurt.
He is hurt. But I think he's gonna. I think he might play, but he's had bragging for his foot.
Really?
All right. Welcome everybody. It is Thursday, November 20th. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus. We're coming to you live from the world-famous University of Louisville College of Business Studios, here in the heart of still raining, Louisville, Kentucky. Cards fans, if you're looking for a competitive advantage in today's data-driven world, look no further than earning your master's in business analytics from the University of Louisville, which you can now accomplish in just 12 months. You may say, well, there's probably previous coding experience required. No previous coding experience required. Delve into the world of analytics and data visualization, learning essential tools like R, Power BI, machine learning, and of course, Python. These classes are now available both online or in person. To get started or to learn more, visit business.louisville.edu. We're on the air today from 2:32 until 5:30 here on 1450 AM, 96.1 FM. Streaming across the land, you know us better as the Big X. Mike Rutherford, Roman Kelly, producer Matt Childress in the house as well here on a rainy Thursday. 1 week to go until Thanksgiving. 1 day to go until Louisville versus Cincinnati in basketball. 2 days to go until Louisville at SMU in football. Plenty to talk about, plenty to discuss. We'll get to a lot of it. Before we do any of it, we say hi to our guy Roman Kelly, producing the absolute hell out of this show per usual. Roman, how are you? Oh, that's right. We ran out of time. At some point, I'm going to realize that 1 minute isn't long enough to make picks at the end of the show. And we also have like 15 unread texts, so I did the best I could to cover it all. But yeah, I don't think I even paid attention to any of the football last night. I was so locked in on the basketball. What? Punching some tickets? All right. Oh, you were right. Well, I didn't realize Terrace Reed wasn't playing. That literally broke as we got off the air. I retweeted it before I left the studio. I think that hurt UConn, but my goodness, they looked awfully impressive last night. Third team in the history of college basketball, Roman, to have 2 top 3 victories in their first 5 games of a season. First team to do it since Kansas in 1989. They look awfully good. They absolutely can. Tommy Lloyd gets it done. Now, has not gotten it done in March. We'll see if that can change. But that was a great game last night. We'll talk a little bit about that and the other big game from last night here momentarily. Producer Matt Childress in the house as well. Producer Matt, how are you feeling?
Feeling great. It's been a good day of radio today. I'm excited for tomorrow. I'll be at the game in Cincinnati.
Oh, nice. Your boy, your dad's boy, Dan Sennard's going to be there as well.
Oh, okay.
You're going to have to link up at some point.
I'll see if I'll find a tall, bearded man. I'll be like, is that Dan Sennard over there, the celebrity?
He'll be there.
The podcast legend?
He and his whole fam are going to be there. I think he mentioned on the podcast today that we put out there that he mentioned his section. So he'll let you know exactly where he is. Which, by the way, he acted like I knew he was going. I had no idea he was going. He'd thrown out a guys trip up there like several weeks ago, and nobody else could make it. And then he just acted like we should just know that he was going to go anyway.
Like he bought the tickets. It was like, why didn't y'all buy y'all tickets?
Pretty much. It's kind of implying that like this was well known, and he just like starts talking about it. I was like, I didn't know you were going, but he and his mom and dad and brother will all be there tomorrow. The more that I hear, the more I feel like we're gonna have a pretty solid contingent of Louisville fans up there.
I think there's gonna be a lot. I feel like every 5 minutes I see Matt McGavick or somebody tweeting out another deal. Like you tweeted the one yesterday about the deal for tickets. Now they're 50% off.
50% off.
They're trying to get people into this game big time, and all that I've seen is that it seems like UC fans might not be going at all.
It doesn't sound like it. So yeah, the latest deal. If you were kind of on the fence and you're like, ticket's still a little bit too pricey. If you use the promo code PLANET50 on Ticketmaster, you get 50% off now. This was supposed to be a deal for Planet Fitness members, but the code works for everybody. They're not asking for proof of membership in anywhere. So I think Rick Keeper and company are okay with Louisville fans scooping up all these tickets. I mean, here's what happened. Is Cincinnati, they realized about 2 weeks ago, this isn't going well. We're not selling a bunch of tickets. They don't want to have, a gigantic financial hit. They also don't want the arena to be like 75%, 80% empty. So they came to U of L and they're like, we can use it if you guys, obviously we want most of our fans to be there, but we'd rather have Louisville and Cincinnati fans than an empty arena. And so all these deals are out there now, and I think the U of L folks have sort of been saying like, hey, good seats available if you guys want to play, and we can.
You don't got to twist my arm.
We can work out some discounts. So I do think there will be a healthy contingent of Louisville fans, and this could wind up being a good deal for us as far as the way that the series was laid out. Because, and I said this yesterday, Freedom Hall, I think they'll probably have about 13,000 tickets to sell for that game next season. It won't be. There are areas of Freedom Hall that you just cannot use right now because of the state of the building. So it's not going to be like the old days where it was 19K, unless they make some upgrades in the off, which I can't imagine they'll do for just one game. But I think they'll sell about 13,000 tickets. I think all of those will get scooped up. And that's going to be like 95% Louisville fans. You're not going to have to beg Cincinnati fans to come down here and scoop up some of these tickets. So we could wind up with a true neutral court tomorrow and then have a true home court advantage next season, which is basically like a home and half home as opposed to a quote-unquote home and home or neutral site series. Could work out pretty well for us when all's said and done.
I mean, it feels like they're going to go to like the entertainment district outside of the Red Stadium and just start grabbing people and putting them in handcuffs and bring them into the game.
Catching people that are going to the Elder Cincy Sanex football game. Like, no. The game's actually being played over here. Just go in there. Don't worry about it. Don't worry if your ticket doesn't work. Just make it into that building. Crowd might not be great, but that's okay. As long as we win the game, I feel pretty good about things. Last night, so my wife took, there was a small 6th grade play at my kid's school, and Virginia was really excited about going. And so my wife was like, and then John was like, well, I want to go too. And so I was supposed to write something for UConn, Arizona for work. And which I pre-wrote UConn winning, so that was the angle that I chose. Like halfway through, I was like, we're gonna have to scrap this, and we're gonna have to write about Arizona not shooting threes and still winning a lot of basketball games. So she was like, she's like, I'll take the kids, and her sister came and brought our niece, and like, you stay home and get some work done. I was like, all right, cool, perfect. Very early on, Mary texts and she's like, bringing John was a mistake. And I was like, oh God, do you need me to come get him? She's like, no, I think it'll be okay. And then she's like, he won't stop talking. And every time I tell him to stop talking, he says, I like talking, and then says, I'm going to poop on your head. And I was like, oh God. So then she finally had to pull him out of the play. And of course, he just like loses it. He like freaks, no, I don't want to leave. He's like screaming and he's crying. And so finally I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go get him. The play's half over. It took an hour-long play. He couldn't make it through this. So I drive to the kid's school. I get John. I mean, he is just a like freak out mode. Like, I want to be in there. I was like, well, Mommy told you can't talk, and you kept talking. And he was like, I don't like being quiet. I'm like, well, then you can't go to plays. I'm like, this is a straightforward. And Mary's treating him with, like, John could stab Mary in the face, and she'd be like, oh my God, he's like, she treats him. She's the classic like, didn't have brothers growing up, and like, so this little boy is just the apple of her eye. And she's like, is he okay? Like, I felt so bad for him. Like, you told him to be quiet, and he wouldn't be quiet. It's a pretty straightforward thing. Like, I'm like, he's fine. Like, leave it. She's she's like, has he calmed down? I'm like, no, but he didn't need to calm. This is a lesson. If you want to go to plays, if you want to go to movies, you can't talk. Like, I took Virginia to plays when she was that age, and I told her she couldn't talk, and she didn't talk. And so, like, I was like, I don't feel that sorry for him. He's fine. And he kept being like, I want to get up. I was like, Mommy told you not to talk. And he was like, but I don't like being quiet. I'm like, well, then you can't go. It's very straightforward. You're 4. You can get this through your mind. So I missed, like, all of the game until the very end when I got to watch. And at that point, I was like, I've got nothing written. And the little that I do have written was with the hope that UConn was going to win this game. But I did get a chance to watch the second half. I thought Arizona was phenomenal. I do think, they dominated the offensive glass. I do think if UConn had Terrace Reed, that would have helped. I think UConn's fine. I think Arizona's really good. Both those teams are phenomenal. They played a great game. And then the second game was also tremendous, which I did get to watch most of. Illinois and Alabama. We were right on that one. We picked Bama to pull the mild upset, and they looked very good. I'm big on both those teams. I think that Illinois' got dudes. Bama's got dudes. That was a great game. I think that they're better than you're giving them credit. I think Illinois will be good defensively as time goes on. They just play at ridiculously high tempos. I think that Bama's better defensively than people are going to give them credit for because they're like us. They're going to play a lot of games where it's like 106 to 93, and people are going to be like, oh, they didn't defend. It's like, well, they played a billion possession games. That's just the way that it goes. They defended better than the team that was defending them, and that's all that matters. And I think Illinois will be a good defensive team when all's said and done, but they will play fast as well. I thought both those games were great. Caught a little bit of Dayton Marquette. Marquette stinks. Marquette they're becoming the Clemson of college basketball. Shaka Smart's like, I don't want to use the portal. I'm not going to. And they're like, okay, cool. Then you're just going to stink. But that's kind of the way that it goes. So I watched that. But the real thing that I want to talk about, we watched. Have either of you all heard of the movie on Netflix, A House Made of Dynamite? I believe is what it's called.
No idea.
Apparently, by the way, YouTube, everyone's saying that the volume is really, really low. Not sure if that's adjustable. Nobody can hear us on YouTube. Maybe that's just us. Who knows? But I'm making sure that that's A House of Dynamite is the title of the movie. And it's a pretty star-studded cast. So Catherine Bigelow, who's won Academy Awards, directed it. Idris Elba, a.k.a. Stringer Bell from The Wire, or the bad villain boss from The Office. He's in the movie. A couple of people from Hamilton, Rebecca Ferguson's in the movie. So it's a well-acted film. I'm watching the first half of it the other night. We watched, because we're old, we watched the first half of it like 5 days ago, and then I got sick, and we finished it last night. The first half, I was like, how is this not being talked about more? I was like, this is incredible. It's thrilling. It's moving. And then I watched the last half last night. I was like, oh, okay. So if you don't want me to spoil any of this, turn the radio off for like 5 minutes. I'm going to talk about this. So the general plot of the movie is there's a nuclear weapon launched at the United States. That's it. Like that's the basic movie. Now they don't know who did it, which is my first big issue with it. I'm not a nuclear arms expert. I don't think there's any way that in 2025 you could have a nuclear weapon fired at the United States and not know where it was coming from and who was behind it. So
yeah, technology has to advance far enough that if we know it's coming, we should know where it's coming from.
Well, I think they know where it's coming from, but they don't know who's behind it in the movie. Like, they're trying to figure, they think it's the Russians, they think maybe it's North Korea. By the end of the movie, they're pretty convinced that it's North Korea, who, like, they're like, oh, we didn't know they could do this. Maybe they just got lucky. How do we react to this? But, so the first part of the movie is, nuclear weapons coming to the United States. Everyone's scrambling to get to their respective war rooms. They're getting all the people that need to be on the phones for this type of situation on the phones. They launch the interceptors. One of them fails immediately. The second one hits the nuclear weapon, but it doesn't knock it off course. And so there's a shot to Louisville. They're like, okay, what's the landing area? And they're like, Louisville, St. Louis, Nashville, or in like we're dead at this point. Now it ends up, as it gets closer, they recalibrate it, and this thing is going towards Chicago, and it's going to basically disintegrate the city of Chicago. We're in the fallout area. It's still going to be hit or miss for us. Depends on how the wind's going that day. We're going to have a lot of dead Louisvillians when all's said and done. So that the first part of the movie, again, I'm watching this. I'm like, it's thrilling. It's well acted. You're on the edge of your seat. You're like, oh my God, this is great. And I'm like, I can't believe that nobody's talking about this movie anymore. The movie's broken up into 3 parts. The second two parts are just the same scenes, but from different perspectives.
Oh.
And it gets a little lazy where you're like, you're finding little new things about the characters out, but also they're repeating a lot of the same lines, and you're like, this is this is not ideal. But it's still enough to keep me, I'm engaged. I want to see how this all plays out. And then, so the third part, it's mostly focused on Idris Elba, the president, and, their defense plan has failed. It's the all is lost moment, and now it becomes, how do we react? What do we do? If the Russians are denying any involvement, if it's North Korea, do you wipe them off the face of the earth, or do we just hope that this was some sort of mistake? But then we let our enemies know that we're vulnerable and we're not going to talk about it. So he's in the plane with like the one guy that's got the briefcase with all of the like, in case of disaster, this is what you do type scenarios. And he's talking about how, you never thought blah, 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 blah. And then the movie just ends. It just ends. Now, I had, knowing that they keep bringing it to the point of no return, and then it flips to the next storyline and they kind of start back from the beginning. So I had gotten to a point where I was like, I don't think we're going to see like Mushroom Cloud go boom, which I, as a dumb movie watcher, I did kind of want to see, and then see how it was all going to play out. But I thought we would at least get more of a, like, what's he going to do? How's this whole thing going to play out? I, by nature, do not like ambiguous endings of movies. I think that it's mostly, not all the time, mostly a lazy writer who has a really, really good idea, but then can't connect those last two dots, or has a big idea where he's or she is very afraid to kind of take a full-on stance because it's a complicated issue. I get it. These are big topics that we're tackling. And so they purposely leave it open-ended with the hope that people are going to see it and be like, ooh, artsy, open-minded. Like, they're really making us think out here. Here's my problem with it in this specific case. What are we thinking about here? That nuclear war is bad? What? Yeah.
What's the theme?
Hard agree, nuclear war is scary. Making decisions in the face of a potential nuclear war is terrifying. Yeah, I didn't need an hour and 55 minutes of this to get to that point. Like, if this is about a doomsday scenario. Give me a little. We all know it's bad. We all know that we're a couple of terrible decisions away from blowing this whole thing up. I didn't need to go through that process to be reminded of this. And I read some things where people were like, well, that's the point, is that they're making you think. It's terrifying. I'm like, we know it's terrifying. Give me something else. Like, let me know how this whole thing plays out a little bit.
Whenever I see movies like that, I always think back to when I was in, like, grade school and you had to write personal narratives and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Could you imagine turning a personal narrative to your third grade teacher with no ending, and you're like, you got to finish this off? It's like, it's open. It's up to your interpretation. Like, imagine John going to his teacher and telling you that he got an F on his paper because it was open to interpretation.
I mean, I tried to get away with that a few times, like high school and college, and like free writing classes, where I'd be like,
you just don't understand the point.
She woke up and then she looked at the ceiling, and she remembered. And then it was like, okay, well, remember what?
Roll credits.
Yeah, I'm like, don't worry about it. You just don't get it. Like, I'm just trying to make you think. It's like, no, I got lazy and I didn't know how to finish the damn story. I had some really, really good thoughts there at the beginning and the middle, and I just couldn't tie it all together, and so I left it open to you. Now, I think that there are some stories and works of art over the years that do have purposefully ambiguous endings that I think are well done. But for the most part, I feel like it's just laziness a lot of times. And last night, I was so pissed when it ended. I was like, you gotta be. Like, Mary and I both looked at each other and we were like, are you kidding me? Like, and it wasn't even like there was no lead into it. It was just like, it wasn't like Idris Elba stares out the distance and is like, I think I'm going to, and then it ended. Like, it just ended right in the middle of a standard exchange between him and the guy with the briefcase. And they had no idea what to do with it. It was very clear, and I was so pissed afterward. I like just ran to the reviews, and it was a solid combination of people who were like, yeah, that was really, really ridiculous, and then other people who were like, it made me think, and you just don't get it. Like, these 7,000 word explanations about why it was brilliant. I was like, shut the hell up.
Have you guys seen the movie Enemy with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yes.
That movie is the one that I think of when you say that.
It's been a long time, but I remember being pissed off after that one too. That one though, the whole time I was like,
the whole movie didn't really make a lot of sense, and then the very end was just the scene of a giant spider in the room where his girlfriend was at, and then the movie just rolled credits. I remember watching that at my girlfriend's house. Like, her whole family sat in the living room, we were watching a movie or whatever, and I felt bad because I watch a lot of movies, right? So they asked me, hey, do you have any that you've been wanting to watch? And I told him, I was like, well, all the people that I follow on Twitter and stuff that watch movies all say this movie's really good. Mm-hmm. I've never seen it. They all fell asleep 20 minutes in.
Oh, God.
It's just her mother and I watch. I don't know why her mom was still awake. She falls asleep during every movie. It's just her mother and I watching this. They're all asleep. We see the ending of the movie, which is only like an hour and 20 minutes or something, short movie. And we see it and we both go, huh? And then we look at each other, make eye contact, everybody wakes up and is like, what happened? And we're just, her mother and I are actually like enraged, but we just sat and watched. It's like midnight, we could have been asleep.
That's how I felt last night. I was like, again, if you watch the movie, which I can't imagine anybody's running to their Netflix account right now after hearing that review, you'll be like me, I think. Like the first 30 to 45 minutes, I was like, this is... Because I'd looked it up before when we'd seen it on Netflix, and I was like, yeah, let's give it a shot. And I saw that the reviews were very up and down. And I'm watching this, and I was like, maybe I'm just like a dumb guy. Like, I'm super into this. I think this is phenomenal. And then as it keeps going, you're like, oh, all right, well, yeah. I don't love the reframing of the same scene in 3 different ways, but we are finding out a few new things. They wrote like 30% of an actual movie. And then just tie the other. Do we have? Is that a weather review?
I can hear it.
Yeah, we have a weather alert going on. What do we have a weather alert for? I thought yesterday was supposed to be the bad weather day. I mean, we had 2 beautiful days of weather that I completely missed being in bed sick, and the 3 days prior and the 4 days since have all just been rain and cold. It sucks. I missed out on the only good weather, but that's what. Anyways, if you're wondering about watching The House of Down, I'm not even gonna say don't watch it, because there are parts there that I think are genuinely entertaining, and my opinion's not the end all be all. You may have a different take on it, but the ending absolutely infuriated me. Just absolutely, I was already a little bit pissed off by what had happened in the last 30 to 45 minutes, and in the end, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You can't just reframe the same storyline 2 different times and then not give me at least a hint. You don't have to show me the entire nuclear fallout. You don't have to show me Chicago, the Sears Tower being incinerated, but you got to give me something. You've got to give me more than just, oh, we're just ending this. And by the way, nuclear war would be terrifying. Like, yeah, I'm aware. I've seen the other movies about this. It is what it is. Anyways, we got stuff to get to today. Kind of stuff to get to. We'll talk a little bit more about Louisville, Cincinnati, and basketball. Women's basketball team last night. Big-time convincing victory over Morehead State. The Cards, as you would expect in that type of situation, go out there and get it done in healthy fashion. 96-49 was the final score. They led 29-10 at the end of the first quarter, and the game was never really in doubt. Louisville now 4-1 on the season. 1-0 in the ACC. It still feels weird that they've already played an ACC game. But the Cards now turn their focus to the other big-time event of this weekend is going to be Louisville, Kentucky, in women's basketball. That game, 2 p.m. tip at the KFC Yum Center. If you're watching it on television, the CW is going to have the TV coverage. Our sister station, 970, will have the radio coverage. So this is one of those weekends where you've got Cardinal sporting events on top of each other. The football game on Saturday, if you're planning, will be only on 93.9 The Ville. The women's basketball game on Saturday will be only on 970 WGTK. And like I said, that'll get underway at 2 o'clock. Now, they snapped their, UK did, 7-game losing streak, I believe, to us last year with a come-from-behind victory. Kenny Brooks has it rolling a little bit over there. So this will be a big-time opportunity for 2 teams that are ranked in the top 25. Hopefully the Cards can. I mean, if we win this one, we're kind of kicking their ass in everything besides volleyball, which has been sort of the opposite of some of the years in recent past. If we win this one, we've got men's basketball, women's basketball, kick their ass in both men's and women's swimming. Beat them in women's soccer in the NCAA tournament. Men's soccer, I think we tied. I think we had a late. It felt like a win because we had a late goal in the 30 seconds to play or something along those lines. So our only loss, I think, would still be at this point in volleyball, which is crazy. Which we led that 2-0. and then got reverse swept, unfortunately. So let's keep the dominance going.
That was the reverse. That game's played too early, guys. Come on, we need to play that later.
Exactly. It's too early. Too early. The basketball games being in November is fine.
Man, Miski's just starting out, man. We gotta play that game later.
Volleyball should always be, November. This time. By the way, volleyball is about to wrap up their regular season. Getting close to wrapping up their regular season. They're back on the road this weekend for a couple of matchups. But big time opportunity for women's basketball. The football team. Are we getting more excited about football as we get closer, or are we kind of in this? I sense that the answer is no from both of you guys.
No.
No, I'm not. This is a tough one. Okay, this is a tough sell. It's also, you could spoil SMU season. They're 5-1 in the conference. It'd be a lot more fun if it was like, hey, you could spoil Florida State season or Miami season or Clemson season. It's SMU. It's like, I forget they're in the conference half the time. Yeah, it's not nearly as fun to talk about beating them. They're not even in the top 25 either. So
there's a part of me that kind of wants them to do well because Rhett Lashley stuck his neck out
I
for us like
know.
2 weeks ago, and then we let him down.
I kind of feel like we got to return the favor a little bit there. So
We just fist bump him at midfield and walk off.
well done, Rhett. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this. We'll get into some basketball chatter as well. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus live here, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Let's ride. Get high. 3 o'clock hour of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus. 1450-96.1 The Big X. Reminder, hey, are you ready to stretch that Christmas budget and still give great gifts? Right now, shoppingkentuckiana.com, you can grab half-price gift certificates to some of your favorite local spots. We're talking Malibu Jack's, Parlor Pizza, 5 Iron Golf, Louisville, and more. Imagine giving someone a $100 gift card but only having to pay $50 or maybe just $40 for a $20 gift card. That's the kind of Christmas math that everybody loves. These are perfect for stocking stuffers, family fun, or even a little treat for yourself. Don't wait, though. The best deals always disappear fast, and these will, too. Go to shoppingkentuckiana.com and grab your half-price Christmas deals before they're gone. We mentioned the women's soccer team, by the way. They will be taking on third-seeded Kansas in the second round of the NCAA tournament coming up here in just about an hour. We'll get that game on the TV. We'll give you some updates as we're on here. That game being played in Durham, North Carolina. Duke is the host site. If the Cards win, they'll then likely play Duke or Central Florida in the weekend Sweet 16 matchup. So lots going on here in the world of U of L sports. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. I want to ask you guys a question because we've got the basketball game coming up tomorrow. We had a new CC podcast episode today, and we were kind of talking a lot about Cincinnati and Louisville back in the 90s, all that good stuff. You guys are both a little bit younger than I am. So I want to ask you, when you were growing up and first starting to follow Louisville basketball, Matt, I'll ask you first, and then I'll get to Roman. Who did you consider kind of that secondary rival? Who was the school that you got up for the most besides Kentucky, or was there one?
It was easily Cincinnati.
Okay.
I remember as a kid, my dad took me to so many. I don't know. My dad never told me. He's never a big rivalry guy. But now that I'm looking back at it, I went to a lot of Louisville-Cincinnati games, whether it was football or basketball. So for me, there's always been gosh, I wish we'd bring these games back. I wish we'd play them again. I'd say it's either Cincinnati or West Virginia, but I think Cincinnati is easily my favorite.
Roman, who do you remember? It's interesting because I feel like, and Matt, maybe you had maybe some of these games you were going to, you were, younger, like 5, 6, 7, if you have memories from then, because the peak of the Cincinnati rivalry to me was the 90s when we were both in Conference USA, because there was a nice back and forth there. Yeah, we played twice a year, every single year. And I mean, they had it going. They had it rolling. They had Bob Huggins. They had, they were bringing in superstars every single year. They were big. They were bad. They had Kenyon Martin, Danny Fortson, like all the Steve Logan, all these just dudes that didn't just beat you. They intimidated the hell out of you. And then it was definitely some dirty play. You knew you'd go into a fight when you were going to these Cincinnati games. I mean, those were the only games that I would go to back in the old Freedom Hall. When friends would bring me, where I was scared of I was like, we're sitting third row from the top. I'm terrified Kenyon Martin's gonna come up here and just snap me like a
splash zone.
It was terrifying. I was like, this guy. You could feel his intimidating presence. For Section 311, it was terrible. There was one game where he blocked a shot and sent it literally 27 rows into the crowd. I was like, Jesus Christ, who is this guy? They won with intimidation. And if we're being real, they lost pretty much all of that when Bob Huggins left the school. So we were set to go to the Big East together in 2005, 2006. And Huggins gets, he resigned, but he was basically pushed out in August of 2005. So right before that season was going to take place. They end up eventually, because who was Andy, the guy who ended up being the coach at Ole Miss for so long, Andy Kennedy. He filled in, did a really good job as an interim head coach, but then they didn't bring him back. They hired Mick Cronin. And from that point forward, Cincinnati was always good, but they were never a real significant threat to us when Rick was there. And plus you had this kind of dad-son relationship between Rick and Mick. So the rivalry lost a lot from that point forward. We still didn't like them. We still got up for those games more than the average Big East game, but it didn't feel like it did back in the day. And then obviously with us bolting for the ACC in 2014 and them getting kind of left behind, it's fallen off the face of the earth. And our only meeting since then, the very forgettable 7th place game in the 2022 Maui Invitational, where they beat Kenny Payne's first team by 19 points. And I mean, I think I've repressed the memory of that game. The game doesn't count. The worst part about it is that was the 100th meeting between Louisville and Cincinnati. So neither side has played any other team more than the other. We haven't played Memphis more than UC or UK more than UC. And it was like the big round of special 100th meeting. And it was the 7th place game at the Maui Invitational, played in front of 37 fans, both on TV and in person. And it was the most depressing game of all time. I feel like we just need to scrap that one from the record book. And I would say that even if we won, and just make this the 100th game, because this feels more appropriate. But
this might be the one they want to scrap.
Well, they feel like they're on the verge of something. They're 4-0. They feel like they got something going on. They're building something. I think we're obviously much closer to getting back to where we want to be than they are. But, I don't know. They're in the Big 12 now. They got to spend some money. Come on, guys. Go out there. Maybe. Oh, don't make me do this. I don't even want to think. I don't even want to think. I've forgotten the names of the players on that team. Yeah. I mean, I would assume LLs.
What year was this?
This is Kenny's first year, 2022, 2023.
Gosh, I can't even remember. That one that actually kind of makes sense.
I've also convinced myself that Brandon Huntley Hatfield didn't exist. Like, he ended up, we were like, ooh. He was the one guy that people were like, maybe Pat Kelsey would want to bring him back. And then my understanding of the situation is Brandon Huntley Hatfield kind of came to them and was like, I want $1 million. And they were like, okay, no. and it was that quick. And then he ended up going to NC State. They were like, yeah, I mean, we're not going to, are you kidding me? We wouldn't pay $1 million if you'd averaged 25 and 15 on that team last year. We're absolutely not going to do it for someone who was wildly inconsistent on an 8-win Louisville basketball team. So, yeah, and then he didn't really do much at NC State. Now I've lost my train. Now I'm just stuck in the... It just takes me to a bad place whenever I bring up any sort of memories.
There's a parallel universe out there where we paid Brandon Huntley Hatfield and James Scott, and they played together.
Well, I mean, Huntley Hatfield wanted to be a 4 anyway, so he could have played on the perimeter in that situation and maybe just thrown lobs to James, and that would have worked out well. James at least worked hard. Brandon Huntley Hatfield had no interest. Brandon Huntley Hatfield had no interest in actually playing basketball. Super talented kid. Very, very good when he wanted to be. Oh, no. He didn't want to go to war with anybody.
I mean, your coach won't get off the bench for an actual war on the court, so, I mean, can you blame him?
Well, I mean, he told him to fight, though. But it does. It absolutely does. BHH, by the way, averaged 7.2 points and 4.8 rebounds in 19.7 minutes per game last season at NC State. By the way, not a great NC State team. Got their head coach fired because they were that bad. Didn't make the ACC tournament, and yet he played fewer minutes on that team than he did at either of his two teams at Louisville. He played 30 minutes for us in his second year at Louisville. Anyway, moving on. I was kind of surprised to hear that you guys say Cincinnati, though, because I feel like, there was a brief period in time where UConn definitely filled. We were sort of on the precipice of something with both UConn and it felt like Syracuse. Syracuse, Syracuse. We had the both sports. There was sometimes there was some back and forth there in football, and there was a nice back in there. We also played them, and we played them in the Big East Championship game in 2009. We played them in the Big East Championship game again in 2013. You had Boeheim and Pitino kind of going. Like, Boeheim hated that Pitino kept getting the better of him. There was some good stuff there, and then they chose to leave for the ACC and kind of throw everything into chaos. But it felt like for a long time, since basically we made the jump to the Big East, there hasn't been that one stable, clear secondary rival that we always look forward to playing. Memphis was that way for a long time in the 70s and the 80s, a little bit before my time. And then Cincinnati filled that role in the 90s. And then I think since then, we still just kind of refer to those two programs as our second and third biggest rivals, even though we don't play them with any degree of regularity anymore. West Virginia was also in that mix for a little bit. That was more football, I feel like, than basketball. But because of our inability to hang around not an inability, circumstances have happened that have kept us from being able to remain in a conference for like 15 to 20 consecutive years. And I think that's hurt things. And then obviously the troubles early on in our ACC tenure didn't help us with establishing ACC rivals. My point is, it feels good to have this one back where, and I resisted it for a long time. I love the way that both rivalries ended in football and basketball. We had the Teddy game at Nippert Stadium where he makes the crazy plays. We had the Russ Smith walk-off kind of final second shot at Fifth Third Bank Arena. And I was like, let's let them just kind of like, suck on those from now until eternity. Eat it forever. But with us getting back to our roots and kind of feeling like we've put this chapter behind us for good and we're ready to go, it does feel almost right that we're playing them again. And it does feel almost right that we're having a home and home, even if it's not a traditional home and home. I've missed having that second team that, you beat UK or you lose to UK and then it's like, all right, well, it's on to Cincinnati or it's on to Memphis or it's on to, in Indiana at one point. Having all of those schools on the schedule now feels really, really good. I love that we're going to get such a heavy jolt of nostalgia and rivalry hatred in these first few weeks of the season. But Cincinnati in particular, and maybe it's me and you guys, the age and the era that we grew up in, this one feels particularly right. And I'm very excited that we're going to get a chance to take them on tomorrow night in the Queen City. Feels good, especially with the ties that Pat Kelsey has growing up in that area, Kobe Rogers growing up in that area. I'm very excited for this one. It's got more mojo than just a standard power conference versus power conference mid-November game. If we were playing, I don't know, Xavier, a team kind of in a similar position, in the same situation, it would not have the juice that this one has, at least for me. Are you guys kind of feeling the mojo as well?
I'm in the same. Go ahead, Roma. Sorry.
100%. Yeah.
I'm in the same spot. I feel like something that's held me back from just falling in love with our play in the ACC is the fact that we just don't. I mean, besides like Clemson and football, we don't really have that ACC team that I'm like, gosh, I just want to beat them every single year,
Same, yeah.
Whereas, yeah, for a little bit. But in the Big East, it was so different. We played in like the height of the Big East basketball where, I mean, I remember every team hated. There was a point where I hated Georgetown as a little kid. I wasn't even alive really watching basketball for Patrick Ewing, and I was like, God, I hate these guys.
Yeah, same. You had a great thing with Syracuse. You did have a nice, when we first got in the conference, us and Georgetown had a nice back and forth because that was when JT3 had we had the great race where we were competing for the regular season title in 2008. And then, the David Padgett season. And then they kind of fell off a cliff and that went away. We had a great thing with Pitt going for a little bit. West Virginia, like I said. Marquette was still in that conference and we were playing. Cincinnati was still.
I hated Dwayne Wade for a long time
growing
up.
Yeah, Marquette dating back to the CUSA days. Johnny Flynn was we all hated Eric Devendorf. There were some very hateable Syracuse players. Well, they beat us when we got ranked number one in 2012-13. We'd just been number one for the first time in the AP poll, and they beat us in, I think, our second game with that ranking. I feel like there was a little bit of – there was something that happened at the end of the game, but, we got them back at their place a few weeks later.
I just can't stand that – because the beauty of college sports is the rivalries. That's
yeah,
it. Like
for sure.
The emotion the fan bases have. Like, when you get to – like, there are rivalries in pro sports. There are. There's the historic ones, but – they're nothing like college basketball, and that's the one thing that, me and my friends always go back and forth on. I was like, gosh, I wish we could just go back to the Big East. And not for the whole wanting to go to the Big East, but I wish all the AC teams just hated each other. I miss having that stuff because I feel like the middle of the pack in the ACC is kind of just like and then the top teams all kind of feel like they're all better than each other, so they all feel like they're above each other.
I think that's exactly right.
So that's yeah, they can't get it going.
Like we want to beat Duke and we hate Duke, but we want to beat them and we hate them for all the same reasons that every other team in college basketball does. It's because they're Duke. It's not because of any sort of personal animosity. And we've had some back and forth with them, but everybody has some back and forth with them. Carolina's kind of the same thing. It's like, well, they're North Carolina, but like it feels like there's no DNA in the back and forth between. And then you're right. Everybody else is kind of like, well, we're too good for you, or we're too good for you. And then you look down at the conference like, well, I can't get up for Virginia Tech basketball. You're asking me to hate Virginia Tech basketball? I can't do it. I can't. There's nothing there.
Or Boston College. These do be hanging people in the game. I thought we had something really going last year for the AC Championship game when the Duke admin on Twitter was like, just going crazy.
It would have been nice to win that one.
I was like, oh my gosh, if we take this home, we're really going to have somebody that hates us.
And maybe this is an opportunity this year. There are manufactured mirror opponent where they identified us as the two best teams going into the season. We're going to play them twice. Now, I still think it's so stupid that we play them. Both of our games are in January. Yeah. Why not get one of those games? It's because they don't want to take any tension away from Duke, North Carolina in those two games that they're going to play. But if you had two really good games against Duke this season, and then you meet them again for the ACC title, and you're able to get the better of them, maybe that becomes a thing. Now, the problem is, everybody thinks they're Duke's rival. They're always going to have North Carolina up there, but they're also going to have like NC State and some of these programs that they've had a little bit more of a back and forth with. They've got their non-conference rivals. I mean, Kentucky feels like they're a Duke rival. But if you can get on that radar, it would be nice to have them kind of become that ACC team that we love to hate and that we have some sort of legitimate history with back and forth because we haven't been able to. And it's partially our own fault because with the way the program was in our first few years in the conference, we haven't been able to develop that with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, Roman made a good point that, like, even the ones that we did kind of build animosity towards, I mean, with Chris Mack, I hated Pittsburgh. I couldn't stand Pittsburgh. I just keep looking at
But they suck.
They suck.
They're not any good.
I love watching Malik Williams put the headband on his head and walk through the handshaking line, right? But it's like, these guys suck. We're supposed to beat them. Why do I hate this team that sucks?
And now the ACC is kind of pushing us and SMU together. Like they're doing the grade school thing. It's like they're shoving them together. Like, why don't you guys fight? Why don't you guys just fight? Do something. Come on. And we're like, we don't want to fight. It's SMU. They've got money. They got players. It's SMU basketball. We don't have anything there besides the two games in the AAC back in 2014, the Russ Smith puke game. Maybe that can be something, but like it just. My point is, though, I've missed it. And I'm glad that we have Cincinnati back. I'm glad that we can bring the hatred back. I'm glad that I can be reminded as to how annoying their fan base is. That'll be fun, I think, over the next 24 hours. I already seen a little bit of it, in my mentions now. But the problem is right now is that Cincinnati fans, they're not bringing the mojo because they think that they're going to get beaten by us. They've got Wes Miller there. He was supposed to be the answer to all their problems. This is the guy that was described by many people as kind of the man in waiting for North Carolina. If Hubert Davis got fired a couple of years ago, people are like, oh, you got to go get Wes Miller. He's in year 5 and he hadn't been to the NCAA tournament. That's a problem for a program that's trying to get back to the glory days. You guys both said it, and I agree. When Cincy basketball is good, you wouldn't think about Cincinnati as a basketball town. They've got a really devoted and passionate fan base. Xavier basketball has some of the best fans in the sport. Cincinnati, when they're good, their student section is full and it's visceral and it's all that makes college basketball great. They're kind of, I'm not going to compare them to us because obviously we're big brother in this rivalry. We've got the more history to back it up. We've got a bigger fan base. But they are kind of like us in terms of they're desperate to get back to they haven't had a taste of those Bob Huggins glory days since Huggins left. Mick Cronin kept getting them to the NCAA tournament every year, never got them to the Sweet 16 outside of 1 year, and they haven't been past the Sweet 16 since. I mean, when was the last time UC was past the Sweet 16? Had they done it this century?
Gosh, I can't even. Not off the top of my head, I can think about it.
I don't think they've played in a regional final this century. Like, I think it's been since they went to that Elite Eight in the 90s. Maybe it's since their one Final Four. I have to look this up now because they haven't been to an Elite Eight since 1996. It's a long time. They've been to 2 Sweet 16s since then, 01 and 2012. They haven't been past the first weekend of the tournament since the year that we ended up going to the Final Four, which was also coincidentally the year that we beat them in the Big East Tournament Championship game. Maybe the ugliest Big East Tournament Championship game of all time. Don't care. We won it. We cut down the nets. They cried. That was great. They are, this is a proud program. They went to 6 Final Fours between 1959 and 1992. They won national championships in the early 60s. They have a strong basketball history without anything to show for it basically this century. And they're one of those programs people talk about, Maryland and Indiana and these Georgetown, these kind of sleeping giants that have fan bases that are not showing up to games in droves, but are waiting for that. They just need that that spark. They're one of those as well. And hopefully we don't give it to them on Friday, because I think that they're I was going to say up for this game, but they're also not showing up for this game. They're pissed off that it's being played in this arena, and they're kind of abandoning it for that reason. I would love for us to go up there, take over the crowd, and kind of kick the crap out of them, because it's UC. Do we feel like that's possible?
I think it's very possible.
I think we'll get pushed. I think that they will. I think they'll test us. I don't think that they've got an answer for us. Now, Danny, we were doing the podcast earlier. You made a really good point. You look at their guard situation. They've got a bunch of guys that are, their guards are very good defensively. They're classic Cincinnati, tough-minded, physical guards. They're not overly gifted offensively. Day Thomas has stepped up for them. He's a third year at Cincinnati, has gotten progressively better. Sincere Harris, if you remember that name, he played for West Virginia last year. Not a big offensive threat, great defensive player. Kirk Creaser, who played for UK last year. Very feast or famine out there. But they were supposed to have Jizzle James. Edgerrin James kid, who was their leading scorer last year, he gets kicked off the team at the beginning of the season. That's a huge blow that they're still trying to overcome. But their front court's legit, and it's going to be a big test for our front court. I think we can get the better of their guards, but they've got some dudes too. It'll be a very interesting game. They play at a ridiculously fast pace, despite being a really bad offensive team. When you look at their profile, you feel like it's classic early 2000s Cincinnati, where it's Mick Cronin plotting and playing possession basketball. It's not. They don't shoot it well. They turn it over at a ridiculously high rate. They aren't scoring a lot of points. They play at the 24th fastest pace in college basketball, which is crazy. And then defensively, they do everything well. They are 26th in the country in turnovers forced. They rebound the ball extremely well on the offensive glass. They defend the 3 well. They defend the 2 well. They're 17th in the country in block shots. And they do all this at an absurdly fast pace. This will be a game, and we can talk more about this tomorrow, where we can't fall into the trap of letting their sloppy play make us feel like we can get away with being sloppy on offense, because they're going to force us to work more for our points than every other team that we faced so far this season. They're going to turn it over a bunch. If we are like, whoa, okay, we can do it too. That's kind of what they want you to think. I think they want the game to be appropriately gross. Fast, but gross. We want to be fast and pretty. We got to make sure that we keep playing pretty basketball, and hopefully that will happen tomorrow against the Bearcats. Pat Kelsey did talk to the media today. I can't remember what players were available. Did you guys see? I didn't either. I would assume Kobe Rogers was one of the players just because of his ties to the city of Cincinnati. But Pat Kelsey was talking about, we expect to see some Louisville fans. He was talking about his history in the city. We don't have time to play clips now. We can maybe get some clips after the break. But there were a couple of people that hit me up, and they were like, based on his comments today, does Kelsey know that there's a rivalry? I was like, yeah, he grew up there. he mentioned it in the press release that the first time he ever saw a Denny Crum coach team play, it was at Heritage Bank Arena, which was then like Riverfront Arena. Like I think that's what it was back in the day. Playing Cincinnati in the early 90s, he's like, I went to that game with my dad. He's very aware of the rivalry. He's from Cincinnati. He's a West Side Cincy guy. He's going to be geeked up for this game as well because he's going to have a crap load of fans and friends and family in attendance. So I think it'll be quite the scene, and I'm juiced up for it. I'm excited about it. We'll take a break when we come back. Game Day Men's Health text line. I haven't mentioned the text line yet. Hopefully you guys do know the number already. 502-414-1450. If you got some thoughts on football, if you got some thoughts on rivalrying, if you got some thoughts on basketball, we'll take all of it after the break. We've also got some trivia questions for our guys, Matt and Roman, that we'll get to after the break as well. But your text afterwards. Keep it locked right here. It's the Rutherford Show. Big X.
Said a word they're not supposed to say.
Truly clean.
East, west, every state. Come on, bury the hate. Millions, the only thing we in a hurry to make. I mean, I always thought the word was hand on your.
They said it.
Yeah, he absolutely said that word. So I didn't know you could get away with that.
Where's the accountability of people making the clean edits?
Well, they're all over the place. There's no consistency whatsoever. One song, they're like not even allowed to say, like, You can't say the word before sex.
What was the one you guys listened to where they bleeped out Burger King?
Twice. Couldn't say. I get like once got busy in a Burger King bathroom. Maybe like you say blank out that got busy. Can't say Burger King. Two different songs where they blanked out.
They coming
Burger
at you
King.
with lawsuits or cease and desist letter for that song?
The whole thing is outrageous. I've got no handle. There's no consistency whatsoever.
Also, don't understand like the half the cuss word gets edited out. Like you're still saying it.
There's some words where you basically hear the whole. It's not. It's like not even side boob. It's like the whole boob that you see on TNT every now and then. There are some edits that are like that where I'm like, well, he basically said the whole thing. We heard the and then the cuh part of it, and you just blanked out barely any of the part of it. Come on.
Let us know if the YouTube stream sounds any better. I changed something.
Oh, people are furious on the YouTube stream. Look at that. Fix the sound. Can't hear Roman at all. Roman's making rookie moves today. Roman, if you don't fix the sound, you get demoted to KRC.
Not Roman's fault.
Sound issues.
Not
Sounds
Roman's
weak.
fault.
Got
Can't
a
hear
text from Scoot saying, I restarted the streaming computer today and maybe put the OBS mics on the strong setting in regards to the volume.
All right, we just had a response. Now, Troy says, good job, gents. I can hear Roman now.
There we go.
There we go.
I think that's actually my dad.
Troy? Yeah? Wait, his name's on the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's my dad.
His full name is on the thing.
Because he's the one who
on
texted
YouTube.
me and was like, I can't hear Roman, but I can hear you guys.
Okay, well. Sorry, Roman. By the way, producer Keith sent me, says, did he message you the same Instagram video that he messaged me?
I haven't gotten on Instagram. My Instagram notifications aren't on. Yeah, well, he sent me something.
There's an Instagram video. Dylan Brooks is guarding LeBron, and he appears to be like direct, like straight on humping him from the back. And producer Keith said, I found Roman's burner, where it said Dylan, because the guy says Dylan Brooks is living my dream, as he appears to be just slapping LeBron from the backside as he's guarding him.
I would love to see a Roman burner account.
There probably is one. Oh, he's neither confirming nor denying. We talked about that. Like, if we start getting this like text every day, or like, let Roman talk more on the show. It's like I'm like, what? Like, just I agree, and then it's just like, no, more than this. This should be Roman's show. I'm like, all right, don't disagree, but it sounds an awful lot like Roman.
You're just gonna let Roman talk for like 3 hours one day, and then 1 minute the text is gonna come in. All right, that's enough.
Best show ever.
Great show today, Mike.
Fantastic show. Good work, Mike. Keep it up. Someone also, my guy, LJ the Fiasco, also sent me. I didn't realize Puma Pass appears to be like an Army general now.
What?
He's clearly in the armed services. He made an Instagram post saying still calling plays, just in a different field, and it's him in full-on Army regalia in like a forest, appearing to like lead a battalion or something. He's like giving orders and stuff.
Wow.
Regardless of what happens, very cool. Happy for Puma. Cool. I know his football career probably didn't go the way that he would have liked it to, being such a highly touted recruit coming out of high school, but very cool that he's going out there serving his country and still being a productive member of American society.
I got to work with him one time.
Did you really?
When I was at the ACC network, he was doing either it was like a required internship for school or something he had to do, so they had him come in for certain shows, and he was working camera during a swimming and diving meet. And
okay.
I had the headset on. I was working another camera, and every 5 minutes it was like, hey, Puma, can you move the camera a little bit? The dude was like on his phone half the time, so it was kind of funny. But I was like, you're asking this dude to come in and like do a live show his first day in. we kind of set the man up for failure here.
I feel like every athlete job interaction story, the stories are kind of all the same. Where they're like, yeah, he wasn't particularly interested. The one exception was Victor Anderson worked at a girl who I was friends with. He worked at her company, and she's like, he came in every day like chipper, ready to go, like brought coffee to the people at the front. Like he was locked in. I think that's kind of Vic's personality. He's very, very energetic, very bubbly, very eager to work and eager to learn. We get Corey Price, our guy who does trivia for KRC. He left behind his notes for today, so I'm going to ask you guys now. It's November 20th. We got some famous birthdays. I say famous.
I will say that I'm
You're on
KRC,
the show,
so I have heard
I won't ask
already.
you. I'll ask Roman. I mean, I say famous. The first one's Antonio Reeves, the former UK basketball player, who's happy 25th birthday to Antonio Reeves.
25?
Yeah. Craig East, former UK football player, is 49. It is former President Joe Biden's birthday. Sorry, Chris the Plumber. How old do you think Joe Biden is?
83?
83 is exactly correct, Roman.
I think I knew that he was 82.
It's rapper Future's birthday. Nothing goes together like Future and Joe Biden. How old is Future today?
41?
42.
I knew it. I knew he was 42.
Future and I are basically the same age. I'm 41. Didn't realize we were the same age. Country music singer Dierks Bentley.
63.
50. I mean, you have no idea who Dierks Bentley
Couldn't
is.
tell you.
Is he from Kentucky?
Is he?
I think he is.
You could say
Let me
that.
fact check that.
You could have told. I mean, probably. It's. I was gonna say like Tennessee, something like that. It's probably like New York City. Who knows? Dierks Bentley, 50 years old today. Happy birthday to the man who may or may not be a Kentuckian, who Matt Childress is going to find out. Notable November 20th events over the years. The Christmas comedy film Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, is released in U.S. theaters in 1992. Roman, are you a big Home Alone 2, Lost in New York fan?
Seen him.
I'll make the point everybody makes. In hindsight, Family Guy's you got to go to jail after that. Like you can't have this happen twice. One time is a crazy ass story. Happens twice, parents are in jail.
Yeah.
Cannot leave your kid alone in New York. Actress Drew Barrymore hosted Saturday Night Live for the first time and became the youngest person to ever host the show on this day in 1982. Garrett Morgan received a
We're supposed to
patent.
guess the years.
Oh, sorry. Garrett Morgan received a patent for his 3-position traffic signal, which we still use today. What year was that? How long have we had the red, yellow, green system, guys?
1964.
No.
Way too late.
1941.
No. Earlier.
1913.
Later.
1926.
1923. We've been using red, yellow, green for 102 years.
Wow.
That's kind of wild.
Wait till you get to the Greyhound one.
I'm kind of surprised.
Also, way off on Dierks Bentley. I don't know who I'm thinking of. He's from Phoenix, Arizona.
I was going to say San Bernardino,
It's not even
California.
the same side of the country.
The TV special Charlie Brown Thanksgiving aired on CBS for the first time in 1973. Kind of the redheaded stepchild of the big holiday Charlie Brown specials. Christmas is obviously the best. People like the Great Pumpkin. Thanksgiving, people don't even know it exists. But my apologies to Charles Schultz. R.I.P. We love you. What was the one that you were talking about? That's the last one they got on this.
There's like a Greyhound. It's later on. He goes into like trivia about
he's doing
teams
loyal
and areas.
Tennessee. In what year was Greyhound Lines Incorporated founded? The Greyhound Bus Company.
1804.
Okay, well that's way too. There's a limit to the existence of Greyhound buses.
When was the first vehicle invented?
I like that Roman knew that it was way earlier than anybody expected. 1492. You want to venture a second guess, Roman? It's later than that. It's 20th century.
I'll give you a hint, Roman. World War I.
Okay, 1912.
Close. 1914 was the first year that Greyhound Lines was found. I would have not. I would have been like 50 something.
Yeah, like what did a bus look like back then?
I definitely was thinking like 1880.
That would have
Like it was just a long truck bed with hay bales back there, and they just called it a bus.
I
That's
can't
what I was
imagine
done.
taking a Greyhound bus across the country in 1918. That would have been. I feel like you're probably risking your lives. I mean, train travel. I feel like it was clearly still king back then. If you were taking any sort of lengthy travel, but Greyhound was out there making plays, still making plays today. When's the only other time that Kentucky faced a Vanderbilt team ranked in the AP poll? This is kind of crazy. What year? Okay, what year was the last time that Kentucky played a ranked Vandy team? They've played a lot over the years. They're about to play them ranked tomorrow, or Saturday. When's the last time they played a ranked Vandy team, Roman?
I mean, 1960?
1947.
See, I thought it was going to be later, like when James Franklin was there, but he was never ranked that high.
See, I mean, the only it's on the list. So I probably would have guessed, like sometime in the last 10 years or so, because they've had some decent teams over the years, and I do feel like they play Kentucky. I mean, they obviously play a fairly consistent amount of times, but 1947. It's a long way away. Okay, enough of that. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. Reminder: Game Day Men's Health, redefining men's wellness with no shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, weight loss, peptides, sexual performance therapy, and more. If you've got interest in any of this, visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. today. All right, let's get to it. Let's see what you guys have been talking about. What's going on? Texture says, Stanford worker guy here. Is that a name? Do we have on the Stanford worker guy here? Did you just give yourself that? Oh, it's the guy who works. Yeah, okay, I remember you now, Stanford worker guy. And now I just lost your text. What just happened here? What just happened? Oh, here we go. Can't wait to see the Cards play against Cincy tomorrow. I love watching Suck, Lose, and Mark Poop cry. F. George, go Cards. Oh, yeah, I forgot about the F. George thing. Get out of here, George. Texas, what happened to the Isla Vanell dude on Cincinnati? He was the only dude who could score for them last year, and I saw that he returned this year. I don't see him on the roster. They had... I have no idea what happened to that kid. I'm trying to find out real quickly.
There's a CC podcast thought as well at 1:45.
Yeah, that one got sent in pretty early.
What did I say? 1:45, CC podcast thought. CC podcast thought Jeff has really been overthinking it. And I really wish someone could tell him that the fan base would rather lose with him cooking up a risky go-for-it on fourth down offense than win or lose close ones. Playing scared like he has been. Go out there and trust yourself, Jeff. You're a great play caller.
He's not a great play caller.
Ooh, Roman disagrees.
He's got great plays.
I have no idea who the guy this guy's talking about on Cincinnati last year is. No clue whatsoever. But
This is kind of random.
okay.
Am I the only person in this, at least in this studio, that didn't know Cal basketball played in a pyramid?
I didn't know Cal basketball played in a pyramid.
I don't even know what you mean.
I'm looking at pictures of it right now, and they call it the mid.
The mid?
G-Fed went there this week.
Oh, wow. No.
They play in a pyramid.
Walter Pyramid. I mean, I guess it's formerly known as the Long Beach Pyramid. It only seats 4,000 people. That's Cal State.
Oh, Cal State.
I was going to say,
yeah,
okay.
Cal plays in the pavilion.
Okay.
I was for a second there, I was very thrown off. Yeah, this is where Cal State University
because he has a
plays
Cal hat on in the picture. So
yeah, they play. It's in Long Beach, 4,000 seat pyramid indoor arena for Cal on the Cal State University campus.
sorry to derail that. I saw that and I was extremely confused of how many pyramids we're putting in the United States at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Memphis had one back in the day that we played in. Now it's a Bass Pro Shop. Did you know that?
I did know that.
It's famously turned into a Bass Pro Shop. But yeah, I'm looking at the LBS Cal Pyramid right now. It looks pretty cool.
We need more pyramids.
We do need Long Beach State, I guess.
I know they were talking about they were editing the Yum Center's roof or whatever and making it less curved or whatever. Make it into a pyramid.
They're changing the outside, the curved part that faces the Ohio River when you drive. They're changing that up, I guess, because the roof now is going to just make it a pyramid. Why not? Just looks cool. Helps the sky.
I also read somewhere that the Bass Pro Shop is like the 6th largest pyramid on the planet or something like that.
Hold on. Is that true? There's no way that's accurate.
I don't know what the number is.
Memphis Bass Pro Shop, 6th largest pyramid.
I don't know if it's actually 6, but it's a high number up there.
It's called the Memphis Pyramid now, by the way, which is it's reopened as a Bass Pro Shop. 10th largest. Oh my God!
10th largest
really
pyramid.
Is.
I just imagine somebody traveling like, I want to go see all the pyramids on the planet, and they get down to number 10, and it's a Bass Pro Shop in Memphis, Tennessee.
Here's the way. So somebody points out the title of the article says that the Memphis Pyramid is the 10th largest pyramid in the world. The actual article itself in the body, it does say that it's the 6th largest in the world.
Okay, well, I just pulled that number straight out, so that's crazy.
Very impressive. Apparently, Wikipedia says it is by some measures the 10th largest tallest pyramid in the world. So I guess it's by how you measure it. I mean, how you measure it? This isn't like
so we're going Ken Palm to Evan Mayakawa type. Like, which one's better? Which one do we believe?
This isn't like a from the base or from the type argument. You measure from the very top of the pyramid. That's the deal. It's the tall. That's the height. You're going right to the head.
God, I love me a pyramid.
Regardless, it appears to be one of the 10 biggest pyramids in the world, and it's a Bass Pro Shop, which is incredible and also tells you everything that you need to know about Memphis and Memphis State. Texter says, Pat Kelsey's lover here. If Brom lets Miller Moss be the starting quarterback, just write it. If Brom lets Miller Moss be the starting quarterback against SMU, then I hope our offense just doesn't block anybody the whole game.
Oh.
Or better yet, I hope our offense helps SMU's defense tackle Moss. It's what he deserves, and honestly, it shouldn't be worse for how much he has absolutely bent us. Okay, I can't say that. Say that over. Thinking this bum could actually be a decent QB. This QB, I can't read that part either. Come on, that's way over the top. It's too much. It's not like he's actively tried to be bad. He's tried. He just has not been good. There's no way around it. Text Roman Hater says Mark Pope is one more press conference away from referencing the Titanic.
He is.
Today, so he sent in the clip. And I know we talked a lot about this yesterday because we didn't have a ton to get into on our own front, and UK had just lost. But it does, I think, warrant some attention. His press conference today, he got asked again. And this is all of his own doing because he made the comment after the Louisville game or a couple days after the Louisville game about how I'm not ready to get into what the incident was, but there was something that happened before the Louisville game that just we didn't handle well. And so, of course, he keeps getting asked about it. And now today he said, there's nothing there. Literally, we flipped the switch early. I wish there was more drama to make it more exciting, but there just wasn't. But the management of your emotions is really important to what we do. So I'm sorry that that's a dud. I wish I had more salacious material for you. But he keeps implying, he's like, but we got to control our emotions. Every single time he's like, nothing really happened. But we've got to be in control of our temper. It's like if you're like, no, nothing. There was an alert at school today. Nothing happened. It was a no-brainer. But we've got to do something about gun control. At some point, there's got to be done something about gun control.
No, I'm not mad. I just gotta not react like that, and not yell.
The implication is that something happened at the school involving guns. If you're doing the same thing here, where it's like nothing really happened, we've just got some tempers flaring. Like the implication is that something happened that got your kids going, whether it was an internal fight or getting into it with the fans or something like that. Like, I don't know if he can handle this. Like, I don't know if he can handle this job. I really and truly don't. He is botching this at a historic level.
Definitely can't handle it while they're losing.
Just before that whole instance gets brought up because somebody asked him a question about one of his assistants is the ones who leaked the whole there's chaos in the locker room before the Louisville game.
Oh, really?
And Mark Pope goes, one of my assistants said that or something like that, and they tell him yes, and it was on Twitter. And apparently the tweet had been deleted later on or something like that. One of his assistants is the ones who announced what happened because Pope was leading to it, never told anybody. And then he goes on again to announce there's no chaos anywhere, there's no this, that, and then he says all that stuff. So,
oh, man.
But he gives a response. I said this to TJ on KRC a little bit ago. It gave me the vibes of like when you got in trouble at school and you had a parent-teacher conference, but they make you sit in on it. And the teacher tells your dad all the stuff you did wrong, and he hits you with the, oh, he did all that, really? But he was talking about his assistant. And I was like,
oh, man.
It's bad. It's bad.
I didn't get a chance to listen to, how's TJ handling all this?
TJ he always kind of dials it back on the radio. You know, the post-game shows that he does are a little more vibrant because they're right after.
Sure.
It's more of, they had fun playing trivia. That's what I can say about it. They had fun playing trivia. That was a good break. But it was a lot of what on earth is Pope doing? Why is he saying the things he's saying? He's just making himself look worse. The guy just looks defeated.
He looks like he's got no idea how to handle this.
It's one of those things where all they keep talking about is the culture in the locker room. And the guys don't look bought in. The guys don't look this and that. Well, I think it's hard to do that when your coach can't even look Jeff Goodman in the eye after a loss. And he sounds like someone
his dog just got murdered.
Yes, he sounds like someone has kidnapped his family.
It's a November. Even if you're freaking out behind the scenes about what's going on, it's a loss in November. You play it coy in front of everyone. You're like, it's a long season. We got a lot to work on, obviously. You can say I'm not doing a great job right now, but you've got to give some. You can't just be doing this whole like, yeah. We have a humongous challenge now in front of us where we're not handling things well. Like he's basically like telling the fan base to panic. This job, both these jobs here locally, but I think especially the UK one, just because it's a bigger fan base that has, maybe more of an insane fringe that's out. I don't even know if it's a fringe. There's a larger chunk of that fan base that I think is genuinely insane than any other in major American sports. These jobs can swallow you whole, and it doesn't have to happen right out of the gate. It can happen. We saw it with Chris Mack here. He has success in year one. He's kind of the king of the town for a little bit. I think he starts reading his press clippings a little bit too much and getting high on his own supply just a little bit. Make of that what you will. And then when things start to go wrong at that point, he had no idea how to counter. Like, he had no clue what to do, and it was done. Like, once he started slipping, it was over. And I don't want to say that I know a lot of people on the text line have made the same comparison between Mack and Pope. I'm not saying that there were weird stuff happening in the Mack. COVID didn't help. The leadership having no faith in him didn't help. His own actions certainly did not help. But this feels like Pope just, man, he's standing on slippery ice and just refuses to stop moving his legs. People are, if you just stop, if you just stand still for a second, things might be okay. Continuing to flail aimlessly, we know it's not going to be okay. And he refuses to stop. Like, maybe just shut up and not answer those questions, or just move on from them. Give the generic coach speak answer, which he seems completely unwilling to do. This man is burying himself over there.
It's like you said, it's just like he's in quicksand. And he's just drowning himself over and over again. And I feel like it's because he put this team and himself on such a high pedestal in the offseason with all the things he was saying, how he understands the assignment. He's here to hang banners, and this team shoots 70% from the field, true shooting percentage in practice, and this and that. And everything he has said that he put them on this pedestal for he fell on his face.
Yeah.
None of it has come to fruition. Nothing is working, and it falls back on him.
And he spent the most money in college basketball.
And that's the thing that nowadays puts a target on the entire program, but specifically on you. When that number gets out there, and I have to assume that they're not thrilled that Ben Roberts from the Lexington Herald Leader got that report and put it out there.
Amplifies the expectation.
Everything goes back to that.
But they ran with it.
They and like we said at the time, if you go, nobody cares about the Dodgers going out there and paying $1 billion. You can't make fun of them for spending all that money when they win the World Series. There's a little bit of, that's what you're supposed to do. They did it. If they don't win the World Series, then everyone's pointing at you and saying, I can't believe you spent $1 billion on that roster just to go out in the NLDS or something along those lines. It's the same thing now in college basketball. And I do think a handful of college basketball writers who are pretty tapped into all that's going on have said, I don't think Pope really understands how much of a target this is put on his back. And somebody was like, what do you mean from BBN? He's like, no, forget about the fans. From the rest of the college basketball world. There is now resentment towards him from other you will have coaches that will actively work against Pope and Kentucky because they know that they've got more money than God. They don't like that this is becoming the way of the world, and they kind of want to make an example. As a guy who I think has been friendly with just about everybody his entire life, that probably is kind of hanging on his shoulders as well. I don't think Mark Pope likes any of what's going on right here. And guess what? That's the job, man. You don't go to, you're not going to be universally beloved when you're the head man at Kentucky. You've got to be bigger than that job. You've got to be bigger than, or at least in your mind, you've got to be bigger than that job and bigger than that moment, or it will absolutely eat you up. I'm not saying Pope is Billy Gillispie and this is going to be a complete disaster. He clearly proved that much in year one. But, man, this is the first real jolt of adversity that he's had to go through, and it could not have been handled more poorly.
No, it can't, and especially when you let all that money get out, which it's still the only team in college basketball I've seen that has allowed something like that to get out. Now, I don't want to sit here and say no other team in the country has been asked how much money they spent. I feel all of them have been asked at this point. They're just not letting it get out, and we had to hear it all the time when whether it was fans or people in the media ask questions. Well, hey, aren't you a little worried that maybe if this team kind of falters a little bit, that comes back on you? And all we heard was, get your money up, little bro.
Yeah.
If you guys don't have the money to pony up, that's not our fault. You should, find the resources. And then now it blows up in your face, and it's kind of DEFCON 1 already.
Yeah.
It's okay, you've lost these two major out-of-conference games in a really hefty schedule. how does that look going into SEC play to start the year?
And your fan base very quickly goes from get your money up, little bro, to saying the same stuff that little bro is saying when you start losing. All of a sudden, then your fan base is like, this is what $22 million gets us? Like, all the same retorts and tweets and whatevers that every rival fan has been saying for the past 3 months. Now, BBN is regurgitating them themselves at every loss. The good thing for them is they get 2 weeks to kind of get off the front pages. They're playing. They don't play anybody until they play North Carolina in a couple of weeks. They'll beat up on, I think, 2 or 3 nobodies, hopefully reset. There was some talk that Jalen Lowe is closer to being back than anybody thought, which is kind of mysterious.
I don't believe that yet.
I mean, they're like, he's day-to-day. I'm like,
they were talking about him
he's going to be
having
out for the season.
Yeah, he was supposed to have surgery like a week ago.
The whole thing seems very strange. They'll get Carolina and Gonzaga in back-to-back games the first week of December, but for Thanksgiving, for Feast Week, they're off the national landscape. They'll beat up on Loyola Maryland and Tennessee Tech, and then I think Tennessee Tech's John Pelfrey's team, who's just they're terrible. So they should be okay. But you go out there and you lose to UNC, everything gets ratcheted up a billion notches. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. More from you guys. We didn't do a good job there on the text line. We'll get back to you guys. 502-414-1450 is the number to weigh in with questions, comments, concerns. We're also about underway in Durham. Louisville women's soccer taking on Kansas. We'll get you updated there. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical. 1450 the Big X. Little twist for your 4 o'clock hour. Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Shout out to John Burke and the United Mechanical team. They are your trusted partners for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration services. Give them a call at 502-339-1133. You can also visit them online at UnitedMechanicalInc.com. Roman Kelly, Matt Childress along for the show today. As we continue to roll on the Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Women's soccer team about to get underway in Durham in the second round of the NCAA tournament. The Cards are taking on third-seeded Kansas. If you want to watch that, it is on ESPN. Watch ESPN app, ACC Network Extra, whatever you want to call it. Streaming services, you can find it there. We'll keep you updated if anything is going on there in the first half of the contest. Game Day Men's Health text line, like I said, 502-414-1450. We will. Sorry, Roman. I'm trying to read your text. So we're not going to be on.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow.
Okay. I assume that was meaning for the organizational side. 5 o'clock. I would assume that would be tomorrow. There is no game to get ready for tonight. So anyway, let's go back to the text line. See what you guys are saying. Texter says, how will the UC game count in terms of quad win opportunities? Is this a road game or a neutral site game? It's a neutral site game, which hurts us this year. It will help us next year. It shouldn't really matter, to be quite honest. But with it being a neutral site game, so long as Cincinnati stays in the top 50, this will be a quad one game for Louisville. Of course, it's the net rankings, which won't come out for another several weeks. But if it were a true road game, all Cincinnati would have to be as a top 75 team for that to count as a quad one game. The big benefit will be playing that game at Freedom Hall next year will technically count as a neutral site game. So even if Cincinnati is not great again, as long as they're in the top 50 next year, that'll be a quad one win, even though it will, for all intents and purposes, be a true home game for us, just played in a different building. So technically works against us this year. Should work for us next year. I think Cincinnati's good enough to be a top 50 team in the net this season. Hopefully they are. But if it's kind of a fringe thing, then you're like, if they end up finishing 61st, it'll hurt us. But I also don't think it's going to be a true road environment. It sounds like we're going to have a decent amount of fans up there. I don't think that their fans are showing up in big numbers. Riddler texted in, said, Riddler here, Russ Smith owns Sean Kilpatrick. Louisville owns Cincy. Cards by 40. One of the weirdest things of all time is the fact that in 2014, the 1 year that we played in the AAC along with Cincinnati, if you guys remember this, 3 of the 5 first-team All-Americans on the AP All-American squad were from the American Athletic Conference. We had Russ Smith, first-team All-American, Sean Kilpatrick, first-team All-American, Shabazz Napier, first-team All-American. So Russ Smith being a U of L Hall of Famer, first-team All-American, all that good stuff, was never Conference Player of the Year because I think Napier won it in the AAC that year. I know it wasn't Russ. It was either Kilpatrick or Napier. I think it was Shabazz Napier, but best conference in the history of college athletics. UCF beat Auburn in the Orange Bowl or whatever. We went 12-1 in football. Incredible conference.
Was that UCF's 12-0 season, their national championship year? Well, their national championship?
It was they lost to, I tell you what, they lost to Auburn in the regular season is what I'm thinking very early. Then they went 11-1, and I think they beat Baylor in the Fiesta Bowl that year. Okay. So they had the one loss. It was a competitive loss. They were good, but
that was like my favorite era of football. They were like hanging banners for that. They were like, we should have been national champions.
That was so. That was we went to Orlando for the Louisville Alabama game because I think it was the 2017 season when they went undefeated. And
okay,
we're hanging the banner. Hold on, let me make sure. It was either that or it was the year before. It was 2017 because we're playing Alabama to open the 2018 season. We were doing a live show at like a packed bar in the area the day before the game, and there was a group of Alabama fans that showed up, and I kept referring to Alabama as the reigning co-national champions, and they like everyone else was laughing, everybody was having a good time. They got up and left in the middle of the show, and like one of them gave me the finger. They were like shaking their heads, like they did not think it was funny at all. And I just kept saying, we're in the home of the other co-national champions, Central Florida, 13-0. And I was like, going up against the reigning co-champions, it's a big spot for Louisville. And they were furious. Did not think it was funny whatsoever. I thought it was hilarious. and then they kicked our ass. So less funny after that. Texture says, I need more Mark Pope content ASAP. See, people are speaking. People are like, you can't talk about UK on a U of L show. You can. It's a rivalry. You can talk about. We haven't been able to get our shots in a long time, and when we have, it's been punching up. It finally feels like we can punch down, and it feels great to punch down every now and then. It feels lovely. It's not like beating up on somebody smaller than you. It's the only way I know how to beat people up. It's incredible.
I just love how right after that game, all the pictures that flooded of the Mark Pope leaning over to shake Pat Kelsey's hand picture became him carrying him like a baby. That was like the AI photo that was spreading around. I was like, gosh, we are so fast with these now.
People are quick. Things happen quickly in rivalries. The tide can shift. Texas, you skipped over this text yesterday, but I disagree with your opinion about the fans booing Miller Moss. I didn't skip over it. We read it. First, college athletes are paid now, so fans can boo them like they do pro athletes. Also, as someone who works in media, you should be supportive of the First Amendment and fans using their free speech. I mean, I'm not saying they should be jailed.
The guy at the card march was too much.
First of all, you cannot use free speech as a thing here. I'm not saying you should be in jail for booing Miller Moss, which is what the First Amendment prevents. It does not prevent you from criticism for saying things publicly. It does not prevent you from being fired for jobs for saying things publicly. It prevents you from being jailed by your own government for saying things publicly. That's all the First Amendment does. I can sit here and say, you're dumb for texting that in, or you're dumb for doing this, or you're dumb for doing what, and it's not a violation of anybody's First Amendment rights. I've never said, I said specifically, I'm not telling anybody how to fan. My thing is, what does it accomplish? If you are assumedly a Louisville fan wanting Louisville to play well, do you think that booing Miller Moss or telling him to his face that he sucks as he's walking in and talking to his mom during card march is going to make him play better? We tried it. Didn't work. I just don't get like what you think you're going to accomplish. Don't understand it. Clearly, some people are going to boo.
There's nothing to gain from it.
The whole conversation was about booing him when he runs out during senior day, which I do think is ridiculous. If the kid had gone out there, the only time that I would be in favor of booing an active player is if they came out and they said, I have not been giving my full effort. I don't want to be good. I want this program to stink. I have actively worked to try and make this football program or basketball program or what have you lose games.
Or if they said, I'm just here for the money, if they admitted that or something.
Miller Moss has been bad this season. You don't need me to tell you that. I don't think he has tried to be bad. I think he has worked as hard as he possibly can to be a good football player. He's just simply not a good football player. He does not have the mentality to play the quarterback position at this level. But he has given it his all effort. All of everything that the staff has asked him, he has tried his best to do. When that's the case, I'm going to applaud. Or I'm at least not going to boo. As long as these kids go out there and they do their damnedest to give us something to be proud about and something to be excited about, I'm fine with that. Do I wish everybody played perfectly all the time? Of course. I'm a fan. But I'm not going to boo somebody who's actively trying their best, even if their best stinks. I don't love the comments after the game. I don't think he's wrong. I just don't think that he needs to be the one saying those things. But I also don't think that that is justification for booing him to his face in that type of situation. If you want to, voice your concerns about his play, I think that that's totally within reason. But
boo the guy that keeps trotting him out there.
I think that's fine too. But the card march stuff, when he's talking to his mom and people are telling him that he sucks, I think that's at some point that's you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I really doing the right thing?
Still a young human being.
Texture says Pablo Torre with another banger. What Pablo Torre did today?
I didn't see it yet.
It's kind of terrifying when you hear that. I'm like,
he tweets so much, it's hard for me to like pinpoint the things that are really serious and what aren't.
Is he going after Riley Gaines now? Riley Gaines got $25,000 for one speech, and we found a $100,000 donation from the Davos family for her job giving medals to student athletes who are harmed by zealots of transgender ideology. This avatar for the MAGA Republican effort happens to be funded by billionaire NBA owners. I mean, this doesn't surprise me. We interviewed teammates, several former teammates of Riley Gaines on the University of Kentucky swim team, and when it comes to Riley's messaging around trans athletes as predatory men and sexual assault, there's an important story they want you to know. Ooh. Riley Gaines. Here's the big thing. All of her teammates say that Riley Gaines actually hates Trump. There you go. I don't think she's the first person to lie.
Boom.
And act like that in public. Act like she actually likes him. We'll stop it there. Texter says, the House of Dynamite was Oscar-worthy the first hour and trash-worthy the second hour. I wanted to walk off the edge of the building with that guy at the end. Another spoiler. Yeah, that's kind of my big takeaway. Texas Mike, Schadenfreude pleasure if you venture over to any of the UK fan Twitter accounts. I've seen multiple people already reaching for Old Faithful and accusing players of banging each other's girlfriends. You love to see it. P.S. also saw a TikTok video that referred to him as Mark Saddam Hussein Pope. That's not even, like, creative. At least like, you know, like Vladimir Popin or something. This is something that's close to his name.
Apparently, the Riley Gaines stuff is about their coach, actually.
What is it about?
It's sexual assault stuff.
Well, we knew that happened at UK, though.
Oh, okay, I did.
Yeah,
Okay.
It was a big story a couple years ago. UK tried to kind of sweep it under the rug.
Oh,
The
okay.
coach ended up resigning in shame. But, yeah, there have been several sexual assault lawsuits levied against him or allegations levied against him. It did not become as big of a story as I think a lot of people thought it should have become. And that's, I guess, UK being able to handle it. But, yeah, it was. I guess now that's getting out there more. But
Okay, that makes sense. I did not know
story
that
been out a
happened
little bit.
before.
Yeah. I did see yesterday, I think it was Matt Jones who laid out all the different rumors that he'd heard about the UK thing. It wasn't just one. It was Matt. I don't want to say it was Matt. It may have been somebody else. I saw that there were two different, like, heard so-and-so slept with so-and-so's girlfriend. Like, it wasn't just the one that we heard on the show yesterday. It's all over the place now. Have not heard the classic, the time-tested so-and-so knocked up so-and-so's girlfriend. It just seems to be standard sex at this point. But it's out there. You also had the rumors of was it Cam Williams and Ortega Owe fight before the game that's out. It's flying. This is what happens at UK. It's also what happens when you let this be a thing. When you put out hey, something crazy happened.
You started the narrative.
He started this. I mean, we do not have nearly the platform that Mark Pope has, obviously. But if right now on the radio we were to be like, you know, something crazy happened before that Clemson game, and I think if you knew the story, it would explain a lot of why that team went out there and performed the way that it did.
And then Mark Pope rolled the credits. The movie ended.
But we're not ready to talk. Like, they're like right away, like Louisville people are like, well, oh my God, like what's Mike talking? Like, and then you would have rumors that would develop out of it that would be like this, and none of them would be true. This is what Mark Pope did on a million times larger scale in front of his entire fan base. I don't know what he thought he was accomplishing. I don't know if he was just trying to soften the blow of losing to Louisville, or trying to shield himself a little bit from some of the errors he had to have known that wasn't a good idea. He had to have known what was going to happen.
Mark Pope released the nuclear missile, and we never saw it blow up.
He did. We know exactly where it came from. Texas says the nuke in that movie had to go to Chicago because it knew Pat Kelsey's energy is so radiant that it would deflect the nuke. I love that text.
I do think, like, the point of in the movie where they thought it was directed at Louisville, and all I could think of was, like, North Korea was like, that city right there.
I mean,
per capita.
That is one of those things that we always talk. Like, when I have used this as a reassuring thing for myself my entire life, that if some sort of full-scale war happens, we at least wouldn't go first. It's going to be one of the coasts. It's one of the big cities on the coast. If we did get targeted by North, I'd be like, what the hell, man? Seriously? You could, like, we're going first. I'm instantly incinerated. I don't even know what happens. Not fair. It would feel unjust if that happened. But thankfully, it ended up being Chicago. It's fine. Texter says, the Angel Reese cameo in that movie wasn't on my bingo card. Also, this is a first-time texter. House of Dynamite could have been so cool if the movie didn't just end 3/4 the way through. I was like fully ready for the last fourth of the movie to happen, and then it literally just ended with no build-up. There also were several scenes that looking back on it, I'm like, that served no purpose whatsoever. It wasn't even a get to know the characters better. It wasn't a we'll tie this loose end up later. It was nothing. The Angel Reese thing was part. Angel Reese is like feeding the president. They're like shooting around and they're talking about it. The whole thing was very.
I
was
told you
very
during the
silly.
break that another movie that was like that was like Weapons. When I first saw it, of how half the movie is like this really good, really timed, paced
Trying
movie,
to figure out what it is.
and then the rest of the movie is going back and seeing the movie from other people's perspectives. But there is one scene in it that's still to this day. I don't know if maybe I'm just not smart enough. I went and watched all the videos on it. The dude is about to. He's like looking for his son. It's the middle of the night, and the camera pans to the sky, and there's like a M4 with a clock on it
For no reason.
for 2 seconds. It flashes on the screen, and they never bring it up again. That's like halfway through the movie. And I walked out of the movie.
Only 2 Ring cameras in the entire town get used.
Exactly.
That's hilarious.
And I walked out of the movie, and everybody was like, "Juice, that was so good." I was like, "What happened to the gun? You actually brought out the smoking gun and didn't tell me where it came from."
there it is. That's the latest one yet. Texas Mike, your take on this movie is spot on. I was texting my wife during the first third of the movie saying, wow, this could be one of the best movies I've watched in a while. During the second third, I was thinking, okay, interesting premise, and I'm still interested. But by the last third, I was so mad. I don't know if you've watched it, but it reminded me of the new Civil War movie that came out in the past year or two. Amazing premise for a movie, but terrible execution. I was so into it. I was so excited to watch the ending of it last night. And then there was no ending. Just abruptly ended in the middle of the movie. Texted after House of Dynamite, I genuinely felt like I could have done anything, and it would have been more worth it than watching that movie. I'm glad we're all in the same boat here, because there were some people that I've read afterward that were like trying to paint this as some sort of just generationally good movie. Like, this should be up for Best Picture, and I was like, am I crazy? No.
They're gearing you up for
Absolutely
the
not.
sequel.
Yeah, I mean, the sequel where it's just the same scene from like 5 other different characters' perspectives, and it ends the same way. Dave, teacher from Jefferson, said, I really could use some good football recruiting news. I really need another basketball game. This time of the year is dreadful and gloomy. All this time off from U of L sports doesn't help, although the women's team scoring almost 100 didn't hurt. They looked great last night. Took care of Morehead State the way that they were supposed to. I mean, we'll get – I don't think you're going to get any good football – I don't think you're going to get good football news for a little bit. There will be we'll have an injury report tonight. I think there will be some interesting names on there. I think there will be a football discussion tonight amongst the Louisville fan base once the injury report gets out there. And that's all that I'm at liberty to say at this point. But
Oh, dear.
yeah, we've got 8 o'clock tonight. We'll have some, yeah. Dave, by the way, has responded to your weapons take. Because Dave was like the biggest texter we had out of the many, forcing us to see, bullying us to see weapons. This is not true about weapons, all caps. Each point of view adds more layers to the story. Text line rally. The M4 is a metaphor for how parents expect to lose their kids and the whole class, but instead it's this weird witchcraft, not a school shooter. Plus it happens in that guy's dream. I could go on, but weapons is great. -2 points for producer Matt. You got Dave into a tizzy.
I stress that I loved Weapons. Okay, I liked the movie. I also told Mike in the break that they did it well when they were going back to the other perspectives. I thought it added to the movie as well. But you're right. It was in a dream. What kind of stretch of a metaphor would that have to be? When I was seeing it for the first time, I was like, I'm not going to watch Weapons 5 times to understand this 2-second scene in the movie. If I don't get it, I don't get it. So, Dave, I apologize, man. That's on me.
Dave's going to send in like 5 more texts about this. I'm just telling you right now.
That's fine.
Texas, I feel bad. The weather alert test happened. I knew that you got a text from, I think, your brother. A lot of people texted in. Now it's just, this is all of the text. My ears. The alert was a monthly test to startle the bleep out of me. It was just a test, not a real weather alert. Sorry, guys. We apologize. It happens, once a month, once every couple months. Yeah, it gets very loud. Texas Mike's face at the end of A House of Dynamite. It's the Jeff Goodman face while he was interviewing Mark Pope. Pretty much, where I was like, what? Just making it. I don't know how Goodman makes every muscle in his face just move while he's not saying anything and listening to an interview answer.
I also didn't like that when he was interviewing Mark Pope, he kept like looking down but up at him, like he was
the whole thing was awkward.
like he was trying to make eye contact and Mark Pope was refusing.
I was very uncomfortable watching the entire thing. It had the feel of somebody who was interviewing somebody whose like wife just died. That was Mark Pope's mood, And then Jeff Goodman was just like, talk more about it. The whole thing was just strange, very strange. Texas says, are we assuming that Isaac Brown is out for the remainder of the season or possibly just choosing not to come back for the remainder of the season? Yes.
Probably.
All of the above circled.
Texas says, hey, Mike and Roman. Can't wait for the game on Friday. First-time texter, by the way. As a Cards fan who grew there, what you were ready for that one? As a Cards fan who grew up and still lives in Northern Kentucky, I've always hated UC almost as much as I hate UK. I'm hopeful that a lot of Cards fans will make the trip up and make it sound like a home game. I saw on a Cincinnati sports outlet that I follow that UC is 0-19 in their last 19 games against AP top 10 opponents. Do these kind of stats make you feel more or less nervous for these games?
I wish I didn't know that.
Less nervous. They're not beating us.
Those type of stats for basketball reasons make me feel good.
I mean, but Cincinnati
For Louisville fan reasons, I won't be surprised if we're the one. Now, with that being said, I do think we're a better team than Cincy. But when you hear those kind of stats, the instinct is like, oh, wow, it'll be our luck. We'll be the first. They're not going to. We won't make it 0-20.
Yeah, but I mean, it'd be different if they were consistently fielding good teams over these few years. Yeah, it shouldn't be a shock that they've lost 19 straight games against big top 10 teams. They haven't been good. They haven't been to a tournament since before COVID. They haven't. They haven't. We read the stats. They haven't been to a Sweet 16 since 2012. Haven't been to an Elite 8 since 1996. They've been bad over the last several years. John Brandon was an awful hire. He did not do good work there. Wes Miller's been a disappointment so far. It doesn't mean that they can't beat us. I fully expect them to push us. I think they're a good team this year. I think they'll be an NCAA tournament team when all's said and done. But, yeah, I mean, that
offense hasn't looked anything special, Mike. We can say it. They haven't put a lot of points up on teams they should have been handling.
I mean, the offense has been bad. They've shot the 3 poorly. They've shot the 2 poorly. They've lost. They look like a team that had a star guard that they were building everything else around who got kicked off the team right at the beginning of the year. And that's exactly what they are. They've got a bunch of role players behind him. Kirk Kriisa gives. He takes away. He's always been the same player. And that's the thing that's scary about them is they've got a couple known commodities in the backcourt. Kriisa's a guy that could go out there. He could score 30 points tomorrow, or he could score 2 and turn it over 11 times. You just don't know. He is absolute feast or famine, and I think he's averaging 5 assists per game right now, but he's also averaging 3 turnovers. That's how he's always been. He's not scoring a lot, but he's not shooting a lot. They will rely on their front court to bully us around, and it's going to be on – this could be a case in prior game, and that could mean a variety of different things. It could mean that he helps us actually with his on-court play. Could mean that we need him to get in there and mix it up a little bit. But we need somebody that's not going to be afraid of. I mean, TM's huge. Sanana Frew has not gone up against a 7'2", 250 pound guy like him. And then Baba Miller is a 6'11" dude who can score at all 3 levels. So they present some unique challenges for us. But thankfully, I think they're a little bit limited on offense. If we play awful defense, it doesn't matter. Kentucky was going up against a Michigan State team that was a far worse outside shooting team than UC is and let them shoot the lights out because they just didn't guard them. All these teams in college basketball are good shooting teams if you leave them alone in a gym. And UC is no different. We're going to have to defend, and then we got to hope that our offense can stand up to their defensive challenges. I think we're a better team, but I do think that they'll do some things that will push us. Lazard guy said, I finally watched Weapons last night. I expected 7 suspense and payoff considering all the hype. Womp, womp, womp. Insane amount of flaws in the script. Super mid, 6.1 out of 10. Dave's going to break the text line. Dave's going to break the text line. He's going to absolutely crash out in about 2 seconds. He already was saying he needs some good news. Now people are just trashing Weapons left and right.
Now I want to know his opinion on Long Legs because I hated that movie.
My sister liked it.
But it seems, from what I've seen, at least in the movie-going community, if you liked Weapons, you didn't like Long Legs, or vice versa.
I didn't realize there was a Weapons Long Legs feud.
What's the same? Isn't it the same?
Same guy who made both?
Director?
I don't know.
The director of the Weapons is the director of another popular movie. I forget which one it is.
Okay. Texas PRTG here. What's up, PRTG? So do Coleman and Martin secretly hate KP? Also, the vodka-soaked tampon was from a Workaholics episode. Get Niles Crane on the UK staff. This is the problem with PRTG every now and then. He says something that, we have no idea what he's referencing because it's from the show from the day before. And then sometimes it's just something completely off the beaten path that has no relevance in the show whatsoever. Texture says, time for one more. Part of the reason on that Cincinnati game in February of 2014 was very competitive was because of Pitino's issues as a coach with free throws and defensive rebounding. We did keep fouling the wrong guy. I hate when teams just give the foul to the best shooter in foul situations where there's like 25 seconds left. Make him pass the ball. Try to trap. Be aggressive. If they call you for a foul when you're being aggressive, okay, you were going to have to foul it anyway. Get the ball out of his hands. We just kept fouling an 88% free throw shooter.
Am I crazy, or did Pitino do the opposite too when we were on offense? Felt like we were never getting the right person the ball.
I don't think you're crazy. I think that happened far too often. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take it's hour number 3, maybe the last half hour. We got to figure out what we're going to do with the show. We got to get off here at 5, apparently.
It's kind of your call, I guess.
Indiana basketball.
Supposed to be on at 5.
Oh, is that what's going on?
Oh, that's the messaging, the communication. Off the charts. We'll talk about it during the break, and we'll be back after this. It's the Mike Rutherford Show on the Big X. fantastic song. It's like cuz, hood, gang bang. It's the he said. Oh, Roman, that's not edited. Not edited.
75% of it is. I just don't get that. It's clean, high quality, clean edit here.
Clearly not.
Clearly not.
What a bizarre day for the edits out there. This is the final. Well, I think we're going to talk about this on the air. So what's the situation? We have Indiana basketball on our airwaves.
Yeah. I'm saying, do we need to be off at 5, 5:30, 6? It's saying 5:30 will work. If Mike wants to leave at 5, he can. It's up.
See my screaming children for an extra 30 minutes. Love it. Be great. Indiana versus Lindenwood tonight. Lindenwood is bad. Hoosiers expected to roll. Indiana's next, probably kind of like first real test. They played Marquette. Marquette stinks. They'll play Kansas State. I think in the Players era, in one of those tournaments early on, they'll get a test from P.J. Haggerty, although I don't think K-State's all that good. By the way, Bellarmine played a good game against Notre Dame last night. I turned it on the radio when I was going to pick up my screaming, crying son from the play that he got kicked out of. And they were up by like 6 when I turned it on, and Notre Dame promptly ripped off like 13 consecutive points to lead by 7 at the break. And then I think they ended up winning by 7. So props Doug Davenport and company, keeping it respectable up there in South Bend. Hopefully they can string together some wins here before they get into Atlantic Sun play. Game Day Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. We'll go quickly on this now since I've got only 30 minutes here, and then maybe we'll make some predictions before I got a jet. Texter says, Tampa Card here. What's up, Tampa Card? The one player I really feel bad for this year has got to be Chris Bell. I thought at one point in the season he could start getting Heisman attention, but he hasn't had over 80 yards receiving or a touchdown since the Miami game. It sucks to see a player like that leave Louisville and not reach his full potential. Yeah, I mean,
for the sake of what he could do in the offense here, it hurts a lot. But I don't think he hurt his personal. I don't think this season hurt his name at all.
No, I mean, that's what I was going to say. I'd feel worse for him if he wasn't being widely projected to be a first-round NFL pick right now. And he'll have, for those who are saying, well, I think you've got enough film on Chris Bell from the last 2 years. Certainly he had that stretch in the middle of the season where he was playing like the best receiver in college football and putting up those types of numbers. But he'll also have a chance to wow people at the combine and wow people at pro day here. He can solidify himself as like a top 25 pick guy in the months to come. And what's happened this season, I don't think has changed that. If anything, he's upped his stock, it seems like, this year.
His tape over the last 2 years is plenty for the NFL.
I mean, NFL people realize that he's going to have better players throwing in the ball next year. Texter says Victor Anderson has a farm close to our house. His cattle gets out all the time. I knew he was doing farm stuff. I knew he was big into that. I didn't realize his cattle was just running crazy.
Come on, Vic.
Chris Plummer says, I knew that Joe Biden birthday was going to get Chris the Plumber out. Let's be honest, Joe doesn't know how old he is, but happy birthday anyway. I hear they got him an ice cream cake for his B-Day. We all know how much the man likes his ice cream.
You get him a bicycle, too?
Maybe. Texas says, Mike, which is better, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving or Rudolph's and Baby New Year? You mean Rudolph's Shiny New Year? Rudolph's Shiny New Year sucks. It's terrible. The original Rudolph. The original Rudolph is the only good Rudolph.
Oh, wait. Okay.
And even the original Rudolph is problematic.
I don't even know what you're talking about here.
You're not familiar with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Not the Shining New Year? No.
I don't know.
You don't know Rudolph's Shiny New Year?
No.
It's on every year. It sucks. It's terrible. Don't watch it. I wish I lived in a world where I didn't know what Rudolph's Shiny New Year was. What year was that, man? They're trying. It came out in 1976. They get the weird baby with a top hat in that one. It's claymation at its worst. It's terrible. It's awful. You don't need to watch Rudolph.
So is it like a sequel? Is it made the same way as the regular Rudolph, like puppets or whatever?
They tried to make a New Year special with Rudolph. Like, he's done.
That makes no sense.
It's
I was a grandmother got ran over by reindeer kids. So.
Well, that's a song, right?
Well, there's a cartoon.
There's
movie.
a special?
There's a movie of it, yeah.
I probably saw it at some point. Grandma got run over by a reindeer. Texas, the Cards have opened at -8.5 for tomorrow on FanDuel. Quickly already dropped to -7.5. I thought it would be more like 6 or 6.5, just because Ken Palm has them winning by 5. But the thing is, Ken Palm's his numbers are influenced by. He refers to it as he plugs into his data semi-road, semi-home games, and he has this listed as a semi-home game for Cincinnati. and that probably takes away a point or two. If you're looking at it and looking at the ticket sales, you probably realize that it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be a full-on home court advantage for UC. I think 6 or 6.5 is probably right, but 7.5 seems to be where it is right now, which I also think is okay. I think we're better than they are. I think if we play our A game, they play their A game, we win by 8 or 9 points. Texas, bleep UK, bleep Mark Pope, bleep Mark Stoops, bleep Barnhart, and bleep the color blue. Blowout next Saturday. Second straight day someone's sending that text. He's feeling confident. Texas, maybe I'm too high on my cards, but I saw the point spread tomorrow is somewhere at -2.5 in favor of Louisville. I thought it would be more like -8. I don't know where you're seeing that, but if it is, jump on it. You may be seeing the SMU spread
for tomorrow,
Saturday. Where SMU is a 2.5 point favorite over us. I don't think anywhere is going to give you basketball Cincinnati at 2.5. If it is, I would wager on it. I typically don't bet on Louisville games. I'd make a hefty wager on that. I feel like we will beat Cincinnati by at least 3. Texture says, Mark Pope's comments are like when Kenny Payne said Corin Davis was not with the team but wasn't in any trouble. I mean, so many things that I've just tried to forget. Texas, pyramids are sometimes measured by volume instead of height, which is a different method of measuring pyramids. Yeah, we're talking about height. That's all I care about. I don't care about the volume of pyramids.
Are they filling these pyramids with water?
How you weighing these pyramids? How you weighing that Bass Pro Shop in Memphis? I don't trust your scale. Height, I can see it. There's a definitive way to measure the height of a pyramid. Weight, I got issues with that. I'm not buying it. Texas, the Hexlers going undercover at Georgia Tech.
Oh, love it.
I'll be courtside behind their bench on Friday as a sleeper cell. Unfortunately, due to special mission requirements, I won't be able to wear Cards gear or loudly hex GT while serving. How can I provide bad vibes for the Yellow Jackets, support the Cards, but not blow my cover?
Now, hold on now. You can always throw some Cards gear on.
Roman, we got to get this dude on the Dalton Penn Show gang. Just get him some glasses and mustache.
I need some pictures of the clipboard. I need some audio clips of timeout talks. Come on, Hexler.
Now, they don't play. I assume you mean a week from Friday. And if that's the game you're talking about, because they don't play this Friday. They played DePaul in that game, which obviously means a lot to me. I may have to get you doing some like DePaul stuff during that game. First of all, we don't need any extra hexes with Georgia Tech. I'm not worried about Georgia Tech this season. I think Damon's a good coach. I act like I know him. I think Damon Stoudemire is a good coach. They've got a very limited roster, and they have not performed well so far this season. So I don't think we need to help there. But if it's Georgia DePaul and you're right behind the Georgia Tech DePaul and you're right behind the Georgia Tech bench, I don't know, maybe DePaul Day sign, a little something. I saw somebody this tweet kind of went semi-viral yesterday where they were talking about Boston College has to have the worst power conference environment. They bought courtside seats like on the floor for $17 before the game, and he was like, our whole row is empty. There's maybe 75 people, and we're here at tip-off. And the picture, I was looking at the picture, I was like, that's the most depressing thing I've ever seen. That's an ACC program, for God's sake.
Courtside for $17?
Sitting on the wood. Yeah. $17.
Kenny time wasn't much more, though.
No, but
I get it.
Boston College, you look up in the rafters.
They're not supposed to be that bad.
I got Jared Dudley up there, Dana Barros, Troy Bell. It's Boston College. There's some history there. Should be buying courtside seats at Boston College game for $17.
Makes me want to go.
I was about to say the same thing. I kind of want to get up there.
Need experience.
Like,
oh, okay. This is Hexler's at volleyball is what he's talking about. That was need to know info, Hexler. Could have used that. So he's going to the Georgia Tech Louisville volleyball game and sitting behind their bench. I mean,
you gotta wear some Cards gear.
It's an actual Louisville game. You gotta be. I mean, you know, at least wear like white. You can't wear gold. Throw an L's up. Give us something. Yeah. Scoots Hater says, what did he send in? Same picture of, this is the Pat Kelsey shoving the ball up what appears to be Wes Miller's Bearcat ass.
It's like his 7th time in the last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Texture says, Mark Poop with a poop emoji. I did love that the last text from this person was in October and said, black guy here. Now I'm dying laughing on my way home. Texas, nothing will beat calling him Mark Poop. Section, as someone who's around your co-host's ages, I understood that Cincy was rival 1B because of the cake of nails in football, but I hated West Virginia as a kid in basketball. Interesting. I feel like West Virginia was more of the football rivalry just because they were the other best team in the Big East when we first joined. Pitt was kind of the other one, although Pitt fell off pretty quickly. But basketball, we did have a nice thing going in basketball. I mean, that was Huggins too, and they had some really good teams. I didn't like the basketball rivalry with West Virginia just because they're the type of fan base that would always just default to football in anything because you knew they cared a million times more about football than basketball, which was the opposite of the way that most of us grew up around here. Certainly the way that I did because the football program was so bad when I was little. But you felt like if you were a basketball school, and we historically have been, you wanted to be picking rivalries with other basketball schools. And even though UC's been better at football than basketball the last 20 years, I still kind of consider them more of a basketball school than a football school, right? They're sort of like a less version of us where it's, yeah, they've been good at both.
Well, what's weird is that if you think about it in pro terms, I think there's more NFL Cincinnati players than NBA right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, basketball's been down for a while, but, they've played – they've got more historic accomplishments in basketball.
Yeah.
Their basketball relevance
history,
has been more consistent, but recently it's been more football for sure. But that's kind of because basketball program got tanked. Texter says, Roman, good job calling out the racist piece of bleep on Twitter. He deleted his tweet real quick. What happened? Who is this?
Yeah, it's just, one of those Kentucky fans on that burner a type account where there's they have no details on who they really are, so they kind of talk crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Just had to let him know. You're one of them.
Oh.
Quoted his tweet. Saw those views start to pile in.
I could still see the tweet where it was, like black guy from Louisville, doesn't even know how to read.
Yeah.
Apparently his count was what you'd expect it to be.
Very much so. Connor Shea had my back.
Good. Get out of here. Little Dumper says Pablo needs to find out how IU got Louisville's banner taken away.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if Pablo would dive into that. I don't, he's researched Louisville before. It's just been kind of not the ways that we want. Although, I don't know if I want Pablo Torre around it. We're finally getting good at basketball again. I don't care if it starts out with him digging into stuff that maybe could benefit us. I don't know. I don't want to know what he's going to find.
I will say, if I saw a tweet that it was from Pablo that says, up next on Pablo Torre finds out, Josh Hurd. I was like, please, no.
I would just be like, no. Anything but this. Even if it was like our cross-country coach, I'd be like, we're in the NCAA championship for the first time in a decade. I don't want to know how we got there. Leave it alone. I don't want Pablo anywhere near this program. Texas, hello. I'm dating Otega Owe, and I knocked up Jalen Lowe. Okay. The Riddler says Mark Pope is Michael Scott spreading office rumors about Pam being pregnant, but the rumor was true. One of these rumors is true. Texas, did Karan Davis infiltrate the UK locker room? Maybe. Texas, so Louisville will have construction on 71, 65, 64, 264, and River Road all at the same time. Who is actually in charge here? Do they actually consider how it affects the quality of life for people? Were we supposed to get that text, or is this just... Yeah, it sucks. One of the things, though, that you'll find out is... not that you'll find out. One of the things that I've noticed as I've gotten older is every city thinks they're the only city that's constantly under construction. Every city's like, oh, my God, our highways are always under construction. The thing that does drive me crazy about what we're dealing with out where I live by the new Veterans Hospital that's going up there, they're widening the entrance and exit ramps on 264 there. They knew this was happening for like 5 years, and they waited until the absolute last moment to be like, oh, crap, we may need to work on the traffic plan here, and they've just started doing it in the last few months, and they've screwed everything up. Have some foresight. You know when certain projects are going to be finished. Plan accordingly. But, yeah, having all of this, is that true? All of that stuff's going to have construction at the same time? Jesus, that's going to be terrible. Texas says, hey, Mark, are you planning to interview Craig Robinson this week? We were supposed to, and then I think that may have fallen through. If so, can you ask him if the rumors are true that his sister Michelle, oh, my God, no, stop. Texas says, hey, Mike, I sent you something on X about 50% off tickets tomorrow using code PLANET50. Let's make it a home game. I retweeted it. It's out there. If you want to buy tickets, use Planet50 promo code at checkout. Save yourself 50% off tickets. Texter, are we about to see Puma Pass spreading mulch and raking leaves on the mean streets of Louisville with the National Guard? Also, you just said gun control in schools. Chris turned off the radio. I don't think Puma Pass I don't think is National Guard. I think he's out there. He's doing Army stuff. Texas Dave, a teacher from Jeffersonville, said, skip my previous text. Oh, God, now Dave's the weapons text have got him in a tizzy. Summary, Matt's weapons take propelled me to a personal record in the 5K. Well, almost. Is the weapons running silhouette as iconic as I think, or am I trapped in an echo chamber on Twitter? Anyway, does Matt still call it Twitter? I'll give him +2 points and move him above Roman if so. Now tell us about the injury report, sir. Also, Lazard guy, when I find you, I thought Longlegs had some fantastic scenes. Different director from Weapons. That was the Barbarian director. Overall, Longlegs was a letdown, though. No real emotional hit, just some weird scares. I thought Weapons had plenty of emotion. The little kid storyline, I mean, come on, I got teary-eyed. Longlegs didn't have that hit. I've got no frame of reference for any of this, by the way.
I can agree with what he's saying. That's a good take. But to finish it off, I'll never call it X. I won't. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I don't care. Elon's going to have to pay me directly into my bank account for me to start calling it X.
I still wouldn't do it. I mean, I said Sears Tower, talking about Chicago getting blown up earlier. What do you want me to say? Sears Tower.
It's called X, fellas.
It's not called X. It's not X. X is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life, and I refuse to acknowledge. It was Twitter for 14 years. It's Twitter. Texture says, STL Cody said, how do we feel about James Franklin at VT? Kind of worried about him. He beats the teams he's supposed to, but he'll never win a natty. It helps the league, but I'm worried he'll beat us every year.
It'll make a exciting game every year. Be a team that's good for our resume potentially going forward.
I mean, the only way that we can guarantee that we're going to be in good shape against them if we put ourselves in the top 10. He doesn't beat top 10 teams. So if we're top 10, I feel good. If we're not top 10, I don't feel great. He's got, I mean, Virginia Tech should be scary. You know, they went ahead and they said that we've got, I don't know where this money came from. They were like, we got $120 million earmarked specifically for football. And like we are sick of having a fan base and resources that don't match our on-field results. We're going all in. Like this fan base is hungry for a contender. We're going to do all we have to do to give them a contender. James Franklin clearly is a great acquirer of talent. And, you know, he wins. He doesn't win the big game, but he wins enough to put himself in a position where he's playing in big games. I expect him to win at Virginia Tech. I think it's a good thing for the ACC. I hope it doesn't come at our expense. But they've got, you know, it's an arms race now. And they've got a ton of money to throw around down there in Blacksburg, and they're going to give it all to their football program. So, yeah, we got to find a way to keep up with the Joneses if we're going to try to remain a top-tier team in the ACC or become a top-tier team in the ACC. Hector said I may or may not be a guest of someone on the Georgia Tech bench tomorrow. I don't care. You got to do something, right?
You have to.
Texture says, Mike and Roman, all caps. Last night I was just going to Chili's for a birthday dinner, and then Will Hankey walks in and gets seated right next to me. I was wearing Louisville stuff, and he noticed, and we started talking about the season for a while. It was a fun experience.
That's cool.
Will Hankey, man of the people.
He is.
Chili's is always a fun experience.
Loves Chili's. He's after Matt Childress' heart. It's his new favorite player.
Love any man who loves Chili's.
Text says, Zach said it's probably the Pittsnoggle 3 that sticks in our brain. Yeah, I mean, it is weird that the most memorable Louisville-West Virginia game happened before we were in the same conference. I mean, that did kind of kick off that rivalry in basketball because, I mean, one of the best, most memorable, and I think most beloved games in Louisville history, and it happens with West Virginia playing an absurd basketball contest, and then right away, they're pretty good when we joined the Big East. We played a great game, I think, in our second year I think it was our third year, because we lost to Pitt in the Big East tournament first round each of our first 2 years. Second year, we played like a double overtime game against West Virginia in the first round, which was great, and then lost to Pitt in the next game. We had some good early in the Big East contest, but like I don't have the desire to get West Virginia back on the basketball schedule the same way that I do with like Cincy or Memphis or older, more traditional basketball rivals. Texas' Mitch Barnhart is on the committee and getting paid very well. Why would he leave such an easy position? Says this is Kentucky media putting out feelers about Barnhart stepping down and retiring because they know it's Bleep and Pope. I don't think Mitch Barnhart's going anywhere, right?
Well, some stuff came out today. They talked about it on KRC for a little bit. Apparently, after the season, he's gone.
Mitch Barnhart's going to step down? That's what they're saying?
There was some rumors, and I know that they talked about it on KRC for a little bit. I never heard anything definitive, but it's sounding pretty confident that he might be gone.
It's going to be the best day of TJ's life. I mean, he's been waiting for Mitch Barnhart to get out of here forever. Texter says, regarding all those traffic issues, the mayor came out today and said something happened in the meeting that he will discuss. At a time later that caused all this to happen, he said it's not a big deal, but he doesn't want to talk about it right now. I thought after the first part of that text that's where you were going. I'm glad that's where where it actually ended up going. Because at first I was like, oh my God, he's sounding like Mark Pope. Then I was like, oh, I bet it's a joke. Thankfully it was. Texas, every city also thinks they have the worst drivers. I've lived in several cities. They're all bad. I don't think that about Louisville. People bash me about that. I think our drivers are great. I think it's those Southern Indiana drivers.
The Southern Indiana drivers.
It's the Indiana trust in God license.
I don't think ours are great, though.
They're my biggest rivals in life. Forget about Kentucky fans. Forget about Cincinnati fans. Forget about YouTube TV fans. Every time someone just cuts me off or is going 35 and a 75 right in front of me and I can't get around, Indiana trust in God license plate. Every single time. It's the biggest, most one-sided rivalry that I have in my life. Texture says, it's worse. The funding for the Veterans Hospital was approved 17 years ago. I knew it was supposed to be there for a long time. The construction started like 3 years ago or whatever. I mean, come on. Texas producer Matt at least watched The Whitest Kids in America. The writer, you mean The Whitest Kids You Know? The writer and director of Weapons was a part of the, I think that's what you're talking about, the troop, and was Abraham Lincoln in their sketch on the assassination. Spoiler, it's not historically accurate. So I didn't realize, so is it Trevor was he wrote that movie? Because I was a big fan of The Whitest Kids You Know back in the day.
I have no idea what that movie is.
They were a comedy troupe. They briefly had a show on Canadian TV. They had a bunch of skits that went kind of viral on early YouTube, like 2007, 8-ish. And I think Trevor he was the name of the guy that was kind of at the forefront of that. I didn't realize he was writing movies now. Texas, I need to see a pic of Scott Satterfield at the basketball game tomorrow throwing an L's down. I didn't even bring the Satterfield thing up. Trevor from Whitest Kids You Know died? What?
Louisville and Kansas is tied at 1-1 right now at halftime.
Okay, thank you. He died 4 years ago. Trevor Moore. Well, I mean, bringing me down the last 3 minutes of the show. Thanks, Producer Keith. Other than I'm blaming Producer Keith for, I had no idea. No, he fell off a roof. Oh, no, that's not what actually happened.
He said, Whitest Kids You Know drops bleeping bangers. So many funny bleeping skits.
Oh, Whitest Kids You Know, they were fantastic. I had no idea that Trevor died. That's very, very sad. But, he did. He fell off the balcony of his home.
Jeez.
While he was drunk. Don't get drunk and go on roofs, kids. That's a lesson right there. So 1-1 U of L women's soccer tied up with Kansas. Let's go.
I tried to bet on this, but I couldn't find it anywhere.
You tried to bet on the women's soccer match?
Yes.
Assuming you're taking the cards?
Yes.
Okay. Texture says Pope is crumbling, but hey, at least BBN can post pictures touting his domination and height. Did you guys know that he's taller than Pat Kelsey?
He's taller than a lot of people.
He's taller than a lot of people. He's a big guy. Big guy. All right, we've got a couple. Let's pick some games for tonight. First of all, Memphis is playing Purdue tonight. It's the first round of the Bahamas Championship, which we famously dominated back in the day under Kenny Johnson. Purdue's like a billion. Purdue's only a 14.5-point favorite.
It went down. It was 15.5 when I took it.
I mean, that may be a little Mike Rutherford wager tonight. I think Purdue rolls. Memphis stinks. Memphis is bad. I think Purdue rolls there. Interesting game, CBS Sports Network in the second game there. Wake Forest has been so close, it feels like, for the last several years. They should have beaten Michigan earlier this month. They're playing Texas Tech, who started the season off in the top 10, now down to number 15. Texas Tech's a 9.5-point favorite. Producer Matt Childress, who you betting on here?
Texas Tech.
Okay. Roman Kelly. Who you betting on here?
I don't want to bet this game. I think Wake Forest should cover, but they're probably not going to.
I think Wake's covering. I think the models think Wake only loses this game by 7. I think people are overreacting to. I mean, Texas Tech. What have they done to really prove that they're going to run away with this one?
Didn't they look shaky in one of their games?
Well, they lost to Illinois already. That was a competitive game. They've won they've beaten their 3 nobodies by the way that they're supposed to. I think Wake, if we know anything about Steve Forbes, is he'll put his teams in a position to win and then not find a way to win. But if that happens tonight, then it's definitely going to be closer than a 10-point game. I like Wake to cover there. Give me that. NFL tonight, Thursday night football. It is Bills on the road taking on the Texans. Bills 5.5-point favorites. Real quick, Matt, who wins?
Bills, and they cover.
Bills win, cover. I say that as well. Roman, what you got?
Bills win, Bills cover. Shakir, anytime TD just had a kid.
Boom. All right, I'm out of here. Back tomorrow at 2:30. Ticket Punchers with an early episode up next. Go Cards.
John Burke's United Mechanical is your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration needs. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133. Go Cards. If you've been hurt in a car accident or hurt on the job, there's only one law firm to call. Call my friend Tony at the Collier Law Firm at 502-736-8141. Tony will get you paid. This guy used to work for the insurance company, so he knows the other team's playbook. Tony's a die-hard Cardinal fan. His family's from Portland and Shively, and he grew up in Fern Creek. With that combination, you know this man can fight and win. In an accident or hurt on the job, call Collier Law Firm. That's Colyer Law Firm. Call today.
Experience Ivy Tech from the comfort of your own home. Check out Ivy Experience, an all-in-one platform that allows you to explore our beautiful campus, diverse programs, and helpful resources. You can visit experiencesellersburg.ivytech.edu to start your experience and apply for free today. Visit experiencesellersburg.ivytech.edu today.
Hello, I'm John Burke, President and owner of United Mechanical. My Christian faith is the foundation on which my company operates. Since 1999, United Mechanical's workforce has provided quality and dependable HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and refrigeration services for all of Kentuckiana's commercial and industrial businesses. Our mission is simple: to deliver a comprehensive array of reliable services in an ethical manner and always put our client first. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133. That's 502-339-1133.
Defining a new era in men's health, Gameday Men's Health delivers